got some room. Now it closes up. He sweeps to the left side to the pylon, into the end zone. Touchdown, Poly!
Play action, rolling right, Clevin. He'll throw, touchdown, Krafts. Fourth down, here it is. Stitz circling, looking downfield. He's going to loft it up for Stiff, and he can't come away with it. A photo is worth 1,000 words. King with the victory. They knock off Poly for the first time since 2009.
Henderson. Touchdown. Poly wins.
Welcome to Ramona High School. This is a special Saturday night edition of the CIF High School Football Game of the Week. You just saw the highlights, some classic finishes over the years between King and Poly. It's a rivalry game, Jeff. Throw the records out the door, but both these records are actually pretty good this year.
This is the granddaddy of them all, they say. The big rivalry here in the city of Riverside on September 11th. It couldn't be even better than this.
So this series is tied. 15th meeting. Each team has won 7 times. To add to that, since 2014 when they revived the series, Jeff, it's 3-3, split evenly among 6 contests. As far as Poly goes, John Rice's team is 2-0. They're playing some really good football. They're the established team right now. Coach Rice has been there 3 years. He's got his foundation in place. And the Bears, as I said, Jeff, they're playing well right now.
Everybody talks about scoring the football, but it's right up front. It's those guys on the line. You have an offensive guru and Coach Powell. Coach Alvarez now added to the mix. They are going to be tough all season long.
On the Martin Luther King side, it's been kind of touch and go for Jason McMains. He only got the job about 8 weeks ago, and they've been back and forth with COVID protocol. In fact, they had a game canceled against Paloma Valley because of COVID. They were able to reschedule Art Rev, and they won that game 40-22. I'll tell you what, I talked to Jason McMains this week, Jeff, and he's very optimistic. He thinks the best is yet to come for his Wolves team.
Well, we saw them in game 1, and I'll tell you what, second half against that Ramona team, they look phenomenal. The good thing about that is we're going to talk about that up front line, just like the Bears. And I'll tell you, you keep over the head coach from last year, Coach Martinez, and then you bring in Coach Torquato, who also is a holdover. That adds continuity and toughness to that line.
Rivalry game here in the city of Riverside. It's Poly against King. The Bears and the Wolves coming up next. It's the CIF on Riverside TV.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.
Ramona High School, folks, special Saturday night edition of the High School Football Game of the Week. I'm Ghazal, he's Jeff. It's Poly and King. Does any more need to be said, Jeff Gorham?
No, I'll tell you what, this is like I said in the pre-opening, it's the granddaddy of them all, baby. This is a fun game. This is bringing the entire city of Riverside together on September 11th. The rivalry was great. We saw both teams come out. One had the American flags. The other had Poly. It was awesome. This is going to be a great Saturday night game here, Ghazal.
Maybe you can get into the history of it. How did this become a rivalry so quickly? I mean, King only opened in '99, and both schools kind of acknowledge that they're each other's rivals.
Well, when you're so close together, I mean, they're just literally about a 5-minute drive down the hill from Martin Luther King. And honestly, those are the same kind of areas that I should say the kids that would have gone to King would have gone to Poly if this not had happened. So they are kind of intertwined. You have Orange Crest up on the hill. A lot of the kids go to Poly. A lot of the kids go to King. They play Little League. They play Little League football. So these kids play together. The families intertwine. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty darn good new rivalry. It's still, though, Ramona versus Poly, if we're talking old school rival.
Nice little tribute before the game. There was a little speech about being the 20th anniversary, of course, of the 9/11 attacks, and then just a rousing rendition of both the national anthem and America the Beautiful by a combination of King and Poly choir singers. And it sounded wonderful as we look at the coin toss in the middle of the field, Jeff.
It's one of those moments that, you talk about in Riverside. It happens once a year, and this is great. It's nice to see the crowds. I mean, it's packed a house here at Ramona High School. There's several thousand people here. But it's just a way for Riverside to kind of, I think, heal. 20 years later, it's nice to see everybody together in unity. And I'll tell you, you couldn't ask for a better football night on a Saturday night.
This is the first time in a little bit that both these teams, Jeff, are playing well.
That's true.
At the time of this game, in the past few years, the years Poly has been up, King's kind of been down. The years King's kind of been up, Poly's been down. This is the first time in a while they've both played well. They're both coming off wins last week.
Yeah, and looking at Poly, the last time they were 3-0 was in 2014 when they went to that CIF Inland Division final. They lost the opener in 2013 and won the next 4 games. Ended up 9-3. They were 4-0 in 2008. But this King team, the last time they started out 2-1, it was in 2015. And I'll tell you what, things all seem to be coming together for both of these programs at the right times. New head coaches, and everybody seems to be bought into what the philosophies of these coaches have and the philosophy of a team, and they both couldn't be playing better at a time like this.
So Tim Watt, the referee this evening, indicates Poly has won the toss. They will defer to the second half, which means King will get the ball to start the game, which means we'll get a look at the freshman quarterback, Noah Harris.
Can't wait to see him. I mean, we have seen these guys the first couple times. We've seen both teams play, but Harris, man, he is one of those guys that really can cause some problems.
Celebrity sighting before the game. We were down recording the Open. Who comes by to say hello? John Brandon, who formerly coached at both Corona High and at Hillcrest High. He's a 1985 graduate of Riverside Poly.
Yeah, he played for Mike Churchill. Churchill led him to a CIF championship. But, yeah, he looks a lot like Thanos. I expected to see him. He's all fit now, ripped. I expected him to, with the Infinity Gauntlet. I was a little worried he might snap his fingers because, it's 50-50. You and I would have had to call the game by ourselves.
Eli Dejanef will kick it away. Back to receive for King, Elijah Simley Flores and Torrey Simmons. About to get underway here at Ramona High School. Neutral site selection because both teams' home field is at King. Poly shares the field with King, so this is a King home game, but they decided to play it here at Ramona High. I think a little bit better capacity with regard to the crowd.
Bingo. That's the key element right there is they couldn't have held all these people at King High School. This is a giant game here in the city of Riverside.
The Wolves and the Bears. Dejanef chips it high in the air, caught at the 32-yard line, making the play Isaac Moore, it looked like. Instead, that's Jack McPherson. McPherson ruled down, and it'll be at the 38-yard line. That's where King will start it off. We talked about Noah Harris, the quarterback, the freshman. Noah Neal Jr. had a big game, and we saw him against King. But watch those outside guys, Simley Flores, Ford, Hoover, and then the big boys up front doing the job for King.
Yeah, Harles really, really has come into his own, showing great poise in the game we saw. And he's just one of those guys that is smart football. Reads his reads, makes the plays.
Tim Watt getting some early action.
See, when you say Tim Watt, I'm thinking of Tim Watley. Great Tim Watley from the Seinfeld. He's an anti-dentite.
Great character.
Played by Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, what a career he's had since
alive.
then. He had Malcolm in the Middle, and then, of course, he's known for Breaking Bad.
But he's always going to be known as Tim Watley to me, my friend.
So it didn't look like any penalty. It just looked like they didn't have the clock correct. So the clock has been corrected. 1st and 10 from the 38 for King. Toss to Neal. And Neal runs right into Angel Sanchez. Sanchez drops him for a loss back to the 31.
Boy, do you remember how Neal played in that game 1 against Ramona? He took care of business in the second half. He was really the man in charge of that offense.
In fact, Jason McMains confessed to me. He said, "You know what? I should have ridden him in the second half. I did not. It was early. I didn't want to rely on him too much. I thought we could run the clock out." And obviously, Jaros threw the ball well, but he felt maybe had he continued to run him, they could have done some better things. Here's the throw out to the flat. They get to Noah Neal, and down he goes again. Making the tackle for Poly, Isaac Moore, the senior defensive back. And keep in mind that Poly playing without a key player tonight. No Ethan Jackson. The junior is ill, unable to make the start today. So next man up, Micah Aaron, the junior, will take his place. So Harrow's complete to Neal, but that just got a yard on the play. 3rd down and long. Harrows under pressure, looking for space. Lowers his shoulder at the 41. Bailey Brown with the tackle. I thought there might have been a block in the back there, and indeed a flag is down. A hold against King. Get another look, Jeff.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But Harrow's smart enough to get outside of the tackle box, get on that sideline. That was probably the smartest play he could have done. Outside of that hold, we saw it just there. There was the hold, blocking the back as well. So, but way to get outside the tackle box, make something out of nothing. It's weird. We have the chain gang on the opposite, on the near side. I'm looking across. They're right in front of us.
Well, two things are strange. Your friend Yancey Dotson nowhere to be found, and they're on our side of the field.
It's very strange.
So they'll accept the penalty, will the Bears. 3rd and very long. 1st down would be up near midfield. They need to get to the 47-yard line. Harrow steps up, throws it downfield. Complete. 1st down into Poly territory, making the catch for King, Zypher Schankenberg.
Schankenberg, nice catch, perfect throw. In stride, perfect catch as well. Big play there from King.
So Harris now 2 for 2 through the air. That's a 29-yard hookup to Schankenberg, and the sticks move up for the Wolves. Clutch play early by the freshman quarterback.
Yeah, great play. In fact, he took a shot right afterwards and got right back up. That's what I love watching about the young freshman.
4 receivers to the bottom of your screen nearest to the line. That's Brian Hoover. The give right up the middle to Neal, and Neal to the second level quickly. Neal down to the 21-yard line. Finally bringing him down is Michael Luna for Poly. Another 1st down, a 27-yard pickup for Noah Neal.
Yeah, great play there. I like the fake, like he dropped the ball. Everybody thought it was dropped, and Neal just goes, runs through everyone.
And this is not what I thought. I really thought that King would try to establish themselves through the air, but they're trying to go mano-a-mano up front. They know there's no Ethan Jackson for Poly. And remember, they got a pretty good test against Ramona in week 1. Ramona was stout on both sides up front.
They were, but I'll tell you what, I think if we look back at that game, I think King really won that second half.
They did.
They did. They played great football, and they seemed to get better. And it was 100 and something degrees that day, and nobody was getting cramped. They seemed to be in shape. So, King really has been playing solid football.
Terrence Denton talking up his defense for Poly as the Bears back out onto the field. It was John Rice and the Bears who took that timeout. So 1st and 10 for King from the 21-yard line of Poly. They've had a couple of big plays, a big pass A 29-yard strike to Zyfer Schankenberg and a 25-yard run by Noah Neal. 1st and 10, give to Neal. Running inside, then kind of bounces up the middle, surges inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Julian Castro among the Bears in on the hit for Neal, and they're just using that horse in Noah Neal.
I'll tell you what, they're eating up clock, and they're playing really smart football. Both these teams are known for smart football. In fact, we talked about coaches before the game, and they're pretty dialed in already in week 3 here.
Simley Flores to the bottom of your screen in the near slot. That Schankenberg. Now between them is Hoover for King. Lone setback is Neal. Flex to the near side, Robert Green Jr. Little dump off to Neal. Neal inside the 10 has the first down. They'll mark it to the 9-yard line, so a 6-yard pickup and a first down.
I hope Neal's in good shape tonight. He's going to get the ball quite a bit.
You know, we were surmising before the game that John Rice is the one who wanted to play a little ball control. They've thrown the ball a couple times out of necessity because they had a deep 3rd and long. Looks like Jason McMains and his offensive coordinator Steve Johnstone are doing a little ball control as well. First and goal from the 9 for King. Little confusion in the backfield. Surging inside the 10 for a yard is Neal. Tackle on the play made by Noah Thetford, the junior, for Poly. So a yard on the play for Neal. Neal now 4 carries on the game, 29 yards. In addition to that, he's got 2 catches as well for 7 yards. So he's picked up 36 yards of this drive, started back at the King 38-yard line. The rest of the yardage, Zyfer Schankenberg. So officially no gain on the play, Jeff. 2nd and goal from the 9. Hoover to the top of your screen, in the far slot, Schankenberg. To the bottom of your screen, Simley Flores. Right to Neal, and Neal loses the ball. It comes out on the turf. Simley Flores heads up play, scoops it up, maybe a yard on that play. And the interior defense for Poly stepping up as we've seen. We saw that in week 1 against Hillcrest.
Well, you talked about it. You and I talked about, man, they're going to show some wrinkles to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Harris. Man, this Poly defense showed up right there in that play.
Good pressure. That's Michael Luna with the initial pressure. But Neal, a strong runner, very low to the ground, very good balance. One-on-one on the outside. That's Simley Flores against Bailey Brown. Top of your screen, Hoover matched up with Joshua Smith for Poly. Harros on the roll. Chased by Sanchez and throws it away, incomplete. Sanchez with the pressure, and then coming from safety position was Larry Morris, 4th down. So first incompletion for Harros on the drive. 10th play of the drive will be a field goal attempt off the foot of Evan Milstead. This will be about a 26-yard kick. Kick is up and good. Milstead with the 26-yard field goal at 6:31 here in the first quarter. It is 3-0 Martin Luther King.
There's my kicker right there. First points of the game. You know I love the kickers. They don't get their due. Hey, we got people watching us nationwide right now, Gazal.
Do we?
We do. We got Cher Stamey and her husband Roger are watching in Greensville, South Carolina.
That's the home of the Greensville Drive, where currently former Ramona High School player and UCR player, and actually RCC player, Dean Miller is playing for the Drive. They're the high A team of the Boston Red Sox.
Get out of here. How do you know what? You're a bastion of knowledge, a cornucopia of information.
And we didn't prepare that at all. You threw out
yeah.
Greenville, South Carolina. I'm sure it's a lovely community.
So thank you, Stamies, for watching us.
10 plays, 53 yards, 5 minutes and 24 seconds on the drive, culminates in the 26-yard field goal by Milstead. 3-0 King, and so now Milstead to kick it away. Bailey Brown deep for Poly, along with Ben Madura, who I understand is a big legacy in the city of Riverside, the Madura family.
Yeah, of course. I was friends with Joey Madura when I was a kid. We're all friends here.
So caught inside the 3. Instead, that's Tajon Henderson. And Henderson racing up over the 20 for Poly. About a 20-yard return. Remember, his older brother, Jermaine, had the game-winning run back in 2018, won it for Poly in overtime.
Heck of a player.
And he played in 2019 down at Santa Ana College. Obviously, they didn't have a season last year. I actually checked to see what he was on the roster, but Santa Ana hadn't put up their roster when I checked. Either way, it's 1st and 10 from the 23 for Poly here in the first quarter. First offensive possession for the Bears.
You and I are going to be covering RCC football next week, Gazal.
That'll be fun.
First game since winning the national championship.
Luna, the quarterback, gives it off to Morris. Morris bouncing to the outside, and he's hit down by Chase Shackelford after about a 5-yard pickup.
Shackelford laid the wood there. Big hit.
So Morris with the run. Now, we saw before the game, we were down on the field, Angel Sanchez, broken hand, had his hand hit with a helmet last week, so he's in a cast. They're not sure how much he'll be able to carry the ball because he can't tuck it in, as you can see. And a flag at the end of that play will be assessed against King. Second penalty against King. It's a personal foul on a 15-yarder.
Yeah, that last on the hit, Shackelford, I believe it was a helmet-to-helmet call.
So give Morris a 5-yard pickup and then a 15-yard tack on, puts it up to the 42-yard line. Empty set for Luna, 1st and 10 from the 42. Here comes pressure, and Luna loses the football, and it looks like King got it, squirts away, still loose. Initially, it looked like the King defender was on top of it, and looks like Poly ended up recovering the football. The big fella fell on it. That was the left tackle, Christian Fuentes, who I believe had the recovery. There it goes. Ball on the turf. Luna kind of stumbling after it. And coming over for King. The first shot at it for King was Matthew Tyndall, and Tyndall had squirted away from him. The ball's still loose. And then a couple of the big boys, and it squirts a little further, and there's Fuentes, Johnny on the spot. So a 3-yard loss on the play. 2nd and 13 coming up from the 39-yard line of Poly. Give to Henderson. Henderson dances up over the 40. Shackelford, the initial resistance, and then it's cleaned up by Schankenberg. So Henderson with about a 2-yard gain. Clock continues to move.
King has some new unis tonight, right? They were supposed to go, both teams were supposed to originally wear their home unis.
However, these are the only unis that showed up. I was talking to Jason Bain and said, well, we're waiting. If the other ones don't come, we'll wear the whites. Very Ole Miss kind of a look. 3rd down. Luna throws to the outside. Complete to the 42-yard line. Making the catch, John Rice Jr., Chase Shackelford on the tackle, and a flag on the play. Already 2 penalties on King. Let's see what our friend Tim Watt says.
He called it a hold.
So that will go against Poly. That's the first penalty on the Bears. They'll move it back 10. 3rd down all over again. Tim Watt, our referee. Russ Guthrie, the umpire. Armando Amaro, our head linesman. Marvin Brown, the line judge. And Darnell Brooks, the back judge. If you were a football official, Jeff, I think you would be a back judge.
I definitely would be a back judge.
You're very good at judging things from behind.
Well, for one, I'm really slow, so I'm usually behind.
But you're tall.
I am large.
You can see over people. So now I'm a little confused. It was I guess they declined the penalty.
Yes, they did.
So King declines the penalty, and now it's a 4th down. And Eli Dejanef on to punt it away for Poly. Simli Flores back to receive for King. Dejanef puts his foot into it. Good kick. Bounces just in front of the 20-yard line. It'll roll dead inside the 15 at the 14. So a 44-yard kick, no return for Dejanef. And Martin Luther King will have to play a long field. 3-0 Wolves as we're near the end of the first quarter here at Ramona High School. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you. Thanks for joining us on Riverside TV. Special Saturday night edition.
This feels like a college game. Looks like the Rose Bowl. With blue, though.
The granddaddy.
The granddaddy of them all.
So Simli between Mosley and McPherson on the left side of your screen. Play action, throw to the outside. This is McPherson at the 10. Bailey Brown takes him down at about the 15-yard line, so give it a 2-yard completion from Harrows to McPherson. So 4 for 5 through the air so far is Noah Harrows for 35 yards. 3-yard completion to McPherson, and that's a timeout called. We didn't get into detail about it. Both teams coming off wins. Poly was pretty dominant over Arlington, 28-7. You got to see Arlington on Thursday, and just kind of a wild, wacky series of events for King last week. They were supposed to play Paloma Valley. Paloma Valley opted out because of COVID issues. Talked to Jason McManus. He said, hey, we were just going to go watch the Poly game and prepare for Poly. They got a call Thursday morning from the coach at Rev and Coach McManus, and it's funny because he called him Gumby. I don't want to call him Gumby disrespectfully. It's his nickname, I guess. He said, we talked because they knew each other and said, hey, why don't we play? Both teams would be on their same disadvantage. Originally, they were going to play Saturday, and the principal said, no, need to play Friday. So they called on Thursday morning, and by Friday night, they were playing.
That's awesome. Great story there. I'm glad these kids get to play because a lot of these teams are losing out on games.
From the 16, 2nd and 7. Empty backfield for King. Harrows back to throw. Here comes pressure. This is Stokely. And Sanchez, he just gets rid of it. Nobody in the vicinity. And here comes the flag. Keaton Stokely was bearing in on him along with Angel Sanchez, and Harrows just got rid of it, but there was nobody in the vicinity. Let's see what the penalty is going to be. So intentional grounding is the call. Half the distance and loss of down coming up.
Half the distance. Holy smokes. That's the 1-inch line.
Well, I guess it's a spot foul because they moved it all the way back.
Yeah.
So that's a 15-yarder. Third penalty on King, and it's 3rd and very long. The first down marker at the 21-yard line. Remember, they turned around their opener against Hillcrest with a safety, did Poly. Let's see what they can do here. Harrows to throw. He's got to stay in. He's got pressure. Pulls it down, then unloads it down the field, incomplete. This time he had a man in the vicinity, 4th down.
He was all over the place. He was just trying to stay in bounds. That was a game of tag, freeze tag right there.
Well, here's what we've seen early. The defensive integrity, the discipline on the defensive side has really been there for Poly.
Those outside guys for Poly have just really funneled everything to the middle of the field.
Yeah, great job. Terrence Denton, the defensive coordinator, and John Rice. Coach Rice has a hand in the defense.
Of course he does, even though he's running the offense this year.
So Tajon Henderson races off the field. There's too many men on the field for Poly. And here's the punt coming. That's a short kick. Bounces down at the 18-yard line. It was very close to hitting a Poly player. That wasn't Milstead who was punting it away. It was instead Joshua Harper. So Harper will get credit for a 17-yard punt. It'll be good field position for Poly. So normally it's Anthony Chavez who punts, but Flores getting the shot here deep in their territory in great field position for Poly. This drive will start on the 17 of King with 2:12 to play here in the first quarter. King leads it 3-0. Will Cloak in, the junior quarterback for Poly. He'll give Luna running with it. Luna off tackle to the left, leans forward. He's inside the 10 to about the 8, picks up 9 on the play. So Luna with his second carry. Now again, Angel Sanchez unable to play running back. He's going to play fullback and linebacker. He's got a big cast on his right hand, unable to take a handoff.
Looks like he has a big Q-tip on his arm.
Was it Dante Roby that played with that
arm
in the CIF final a couple of years ago?
That's right, from Ramona High School.
Cloak with the give up the middle. Driving for Poly is the fullback. That's Felix Fuentes. Fuentes gets a first down. They'll move the sticks. First and goal to the 6-yard line.
You know what's great about these games, and you and I come early and walk around, is how many people that are interconnected to Riverside, to Poly, Ramona, everywhere. And they're all at tonight's game. I got a little funny story to share with you in a minute.
Makai Alexander to the top of your screen. In the far slot is Bailey Brown. Luna with the give to Dejon Henderson, but whistles.
You know, we see John Brandon, a.k.a. Thanos, walk on the field. Got a little scared, but, you know, an old Poly guy and a big alum. But, yeah, look over. I see Sonny Soto's wife. Sonny Soto, a longtime great player at Ramona High School. His children go to Poly. So I'm looking around. I was hoping to see Frank Berber, the king of the Chunklas, the line coach at Ramona. He's somewhere in the vicinity. So look for a guy wearing flip-flops. He's the line coach at Ramona High School. But everybody in Riverside's here.
Fourth penalty on King, half the distance ball to the 3. So first and goal for the Bears. Luna with the keeper, runs it to McPherson, surges down to the 1-yard line. Had to get some help over top, did McPherson. Helping out was Matthew Tyndall on the hit. So a couple of yards for Luna, and it's second and goal. Luna now with 3 carries for 9 yards.
Remember Bud Burney played last year quarterback. He's on the roster at RCC.
RCC. He was in our opening highlight in that opening sequence
yes,
of fantastic finishes to this game. And it's shaping up to be one of those right now. Last seconds ticking away here in the first quarter. It's second and goal from the 1. Cloak back in at quarterback. Tailback is Tejon Henderson. Handoff to Henderson. No, instead Cloak keeps it, and down he goes. Down at the 10-yard line.
That's going to be an automatic halfway to the goal line there. The personal foul on King.
Evan Simon met Matthew Tyndall at the quarterback and a little bit too aggressive. They'll move the ball to the 5-yard line. Personal foul marched off against King. 5 more yards. Already 5 penalties on the Wolves. There was 1 on Poly, but that was declined.
Look at Tim Watt. Kind of looks like Ed Hockley.
Those big arms. He's getting the workout.
Man, stop doing something.
Alexander to the top of your screen. To the bottom of your screen, Bailey Brown. Luna takes it himself. Middle of the line, surges. He's still up on his feet. Did he get in? No signal yet from the official. They're going to say he's stopped. And that's the end of the quarter with the 3-0 lead for King. They're going to mark the ball at the 1-yard line for Luna. So Luna doing a little bit of the tough mudding for Poly. And an opportunity for a goal line stand here for King. It'll be second and goal from the 1 when we resume action, Jeff.
Something everybody should talk about is Operation Lifesaver. Distractions like texting or listening to music can be deadly. Did you know that you may not hear a train coming until it's too late? Trains can come from any direction at any time and on any track. Just a reminder, the train tracks are not meant for walking, sitting, stopping, or taking selfies. So stay off, stay away, and stay alive. This message is brought to you during the National Rail Safety Month, courtesy of the Riverside Transportation Commission and California Operation Lifesaver. So make sure you're not walking on those trains, people. Stay away from them. They're meant for trains, not people.
I'm a big fan of Operation Lifesaver. Do you know why?
No, I don't.
Because they advocate two things that I greatly enjoy: riding trains and being alive.
Two of the greatest things ever. You know, I still love to. I have that childhood joy still of going on a train.
I love the train.
Oh man, something about a train.
Shakespearean scholar John Rice coaching up his team. They're knocking on the door here. A 3-0 lead for Poly. The only scoring of the game thus far, a 26-yard field goal from Evan Milstead. That came at 6:31 of the first quarter.
Big Othello fan. He is.
He loves Iago.
Yes, he does love Iago.
Second and goal from the 1.
He was kind of a bad guy.
Tajon Henderson, the lone setback. And a timeout called by Poly. John Rice didn't like something. There was something rotten in Denmark. So John Rice called timeout, didn't like how they were lined up, to quote the line from Hamlet. So we were joking with Coach Rice about it, so we'll bring it up. You interviewed him before the Hillcrest game, and you asked both coaches. You said, what's your favorite fictional character? And he went with Iago from Othello, which frightened me a little bit.
It frightened me too.
I know John Rice. I knew him from when he was at North, so I've known John Rice almost 10 years. Very nice man, a good family man. He's a husband and a father and a coach. And he goes with Iago, perhaps one of the most toxic characters in the Shakespeare universe.
By far.
Yeah.
But talking about this, there are some these two coaches, John Rice and Jason McMains, are very tight. They're both part of the National Football Foundation. They are part of the board of the Riverside County chapter. In fact, Bill Powell is the president, the vice president, of course, John Rice, and on the executive board, Jason McMains. And Lou Glosson, who is the Poly assistant, this is all part of the executive board. The banquet is in March, and they celebrate all scholar athletes from all the schools in the Riverside County area. A great foundation. Our guy, Pep Fernandez, is always the MC and also is on the board.
Yeah. I was watching Pep. It was weird. We didn't have a game yesterday, so I got home at about 10:20. I was out and about, and I said, you know what? I'm going to make a snack, and I'm going to watch Pep at 11. And there he was with the high school football highlights.
Was he at home?
He was doing it from home. Henderson gets run into, and he's bent back. Shackelford there along with Tyndall. And I'm going to age myself with this. A little bit of a Malachi crunch there brings up the third down.
Did you just say Malachi crunch?
Yeah. There's Shackelford and Tyndall, kind of like the Malachi brothers.
I love it.
Go to Hulu, go to Paramount Plus, whatever you got, and then check out Happy Days, and you learn about the Malachi Crunch, the Malachi brothers. And it was Pinky Tuscadero.
Oh, I love Pinky Tuscadero. Everybody did. That was the Fonz's lady. If you were a character in Happy Days, who would you be? Think about that.
I'm a big fan of Ralph Malph. I've seen Donnie Mose perform at
That's right. You were friends.
He's a jazz singer. Yeah. He performs like standards. And Simley Flores, did he lose the football, Jeff? Did we completely miss what was going on there? Did they strip the football away from him? They must have. So the ball from the 1, which went over to King, and now Harros completes up to the 23-yard line to Simley Flores. And how good is Simley Flores? We've seen him a couple of times, Jeff, and he's been very good.
Well, anytime you mention the kid's name like 10 or 15 times during the game, he's doing something right.
And he's playing on both sides of the ball. He's playing cornerback as well, and will tack on 15 yards to that as well. So the first enforced penalty against Poly. So a turnover for Poly. They must have taken it away from Henderson. Noah Neal up the middle. Neal over the 40 to the 41. 4 more yards for Neal. So Neal now with 40 yards on 6 carries. Keeping the clock moving. 2nd and 4 coming up for King after the turnover deep in their own territory. So they turn Poly away. Poly gets the ball at the 17-yard line, comes up empty. Harrows to Neal, slashing up the middle. Avoids one tackle. Parts another defender. Finally taken down on the Poly side of the field, the 44-yard line. About a 12-yard pickup there for Neal.
Boy, he does take some punishment, and he doles it out as well. But, man, he's a fun back to watch. He came out of nowhere in that first game in the second half against Ram High, and, man, he's...
Castro combines with Tedford on the hit. Mark it at the 44-yard line of Poly. 1st and 10 for King. And they'll go right to the bread and butter. Neal dives to the 41-yard line. Angel Sanchez right there. 3 yards for Neal. So this drive started way back at the 1-yard line for King. 3-0 lead here in the second quarter. They turn Poly away at the goal line. Brian Hoover to the bottom of your screen. Elijah Simley Flores to the top of your screen for King. Noah Harrows, the freshman quarterback, back to throw. Launches it complete to about the 32. One-on-one coverage on the outside. Hoover tackled on the Poly side by Joshua Smith.
He's got some velo on that ball. He almost looks like a baseball player, which he is, you told me.
That's right. One of Steve Madrill's guys.
Just came out of nowhere and won the job, he said.
That's what Jason McMains told me. I mean, they said they knew, but he's a baseball guy. Actually, a couple of baseball guys playing for King, and that was an issue in the spring, right? Because you couldn't share athletes.
Could only play one sport.
Yeah. So mark it to the 33, a first down. Noah Neal right up the middle. Runs into James Luna and Angel Sanchez. Maybe a yard on the play. So Neal now 9 carries for 56 yards. Now, we were talking about it before the game, about ball control, Bill Powell and John Rice. That seems to be what Jason McMains is doing. Stacks the top and bottom of your screen. Harrows to throw. Here comes pressure. He'll launch downfield. Wide open, Schankenberg. Touchdown, King. 32-yard strike from Harrows to Zypher Schankenberg. And the freshman throws a strike to Schankenberg. Touchdown, Wolves.
On the run. Great throw. I talk about it all the time, but his poise in the backfield he is spot on.
$99-yard drive, and the extra point is good, and it makes it 10-0. 32-yard touchdown pass from Harrows to Schankenberg with 8:12 to play in the second quarter makes it 10-0 King. So a turnover converted into a touchdown, a long drive for the Wolves. And we know this is what Jason McMains does.
That's exactly what he does. He's one of those guys. We've seen him everywhere he's been. He's so smart offensively. He's one of those guys that really can make adjustments. I mean, right in the middle of the game. A lot of guys come over at halftime and they make adjustments. He's one of those guys that can view it, see it, make the change right away.
So Ben Madur and Tajon Henderson deep for Poly. Milstead to kick for King. 10-0 Wolves. Henderson from the 12. Trying to get to the outside. Dayton Ford drops him at about the 27-yard line, so a 15-yard return by Henderson. And that's where Poly will tee it up from the 27 with 8:04 to play here in the second quarter. So here's a big stand coming up for the King defense and an opportunity for the offense for Poly. So they go trips to the near side. Closest to the bottom of the screen is Mekhi Alexander. This is Cloak stepping into the pocket, and McPherson wraps him up. McPherson was the first man to him. He got some help afterwards, did McPherson. I believe that was Jacob Cook cleaning it up. And that's a loss back to the 26. Sack.
Yeah, McPherson. Coach really loves McPherson. Tough kid.
So ball back to the 26-yard line. Luna back in at quarterback. Luna trying to navigate the middle, and that middle is just closing up. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage for Michael Luna.
Oh, there's my favorite thing, Gazal. You remember, I'm not a big Wave fan, but look at all the lights over there.
You do like the lights on the cell phone lights, if we can get a shot of those.
I'm telling you, if you're watching and you have people that are talking, I want you to text everyone. I want to see that entire side lit up. Bright lights. It gets me excited.
We're talking to Jason McMains before the game, and actually before the previous game, about his defense. And Mike Turcato and Rich Martinez really coordinating the defense. Now, they were holdovers because when he took the job, he took it so late, he couldn't get his full staff that he wanted over here. Coach Martinez was the interim coach in the spring last year when Pat McCarthy stepped away. 3rd down and 12. Line is the 25-yard line. Here's Henderson in motion. Luna throwing. Luna launching it down the field. He's looking for Henderson, overthrown. On coverage was Elijah Simley Flores, and he had him locked up. 4th down coming up. Luna throws it incomplete. 0 for 1 through the air.
That was just great defense there by Harris.
He had some help as well down the field. And Poly calls their 3rd timeout here in the first half. They'll talk it over, 4th and 12. King definitely looking pretty good. We thought Poly had established themselves over the first 2 games. 2 pretty impressive wins against Riverside City teams. And King, remember, they took a loss against Ramona, but they played very well in the second half. And then they were very good. Now, the score is a little misleading. It was a 40-22 game. It was 26-7 at the half.
That's right.
And then Revs scored a defensive touchdown. It was Noah Harris made a miscalculation on an option, and it was a return for a touchdown to make it 26-14. And then they scored the last play of the game, last drive of the game. Otherwise, it was a pretty dominant win for King, and Jason McMains was pretty happy with how his team played, not only on the offensive side but on the defensive side.
Yeah, I thought they played smart football, and we saw, the first game jitters just a little bit in the first half, but they've come to play. They're playing great here tonight.
Dejanev to kick it away for Poly. Waiting back at about the 37-yard line is Elijah Simley Flora, and we really haven't seen him. He had a big first game. We really haven't seen him get in the open field. He is a big-time playmaker for King. So Dejanev to punt. High snap, and he's in trouble. Dejanev taken down inside the 10. And that's the Predator, Evan Simon, making the play.
That's a great nickname.
They used to call him the Predator. He had long hair, but he chopped it all off. Simon, the senior, was the defensive player of the game against Ramona for King, and now he makes a big play here, and it's 1st and goal from the 9 for King. Check it. Call it the 8. So I know you'll want to talk about this young man, Robert Green Jr., into the ball game.
Bob Green. His father played at Rubidoux, played at Cal. He was part of the House of Strength at Cal when Cal had their great seasons in the late 80s, early 90s.
Noah Neal thunders down, is taken down inside the 1. Bailey Brown there, his head around the hit. Julian Castro on the tackle. So 7 yards there for Neal, and he's just rumbling, man. He's got 63 yards on 10 carries, does Neal. You have to feed the man right now, right? You have to let him take it all the way
Keep
through.
Going.
And how about that? How about Sam Green getting up from the pile?
Another Green.
Another Green brother. He's split out to the near side is Sam Green. And they'll give it right back to Neal, and Neal right up the middle. Crashes down. He's stopped at the 1-yard line. No, he's in. Touchdown, King. So Neal to pay dirt with 5:24 to play in the first half. Just 2 handoffs to Neal after the play on the high snap off the punt, and a touchdown for the Wolves. Milstead on to try the PAT. And here's Milstead for the PAT. Through the uprights, makes it 17-0. We were talking before the game, Jeff. I don't know if you agreed with me. I really believe that it was Poly needed to get off to a good start because their intent was to control the game. And now playing from behind, sometimes you don't stick to the game plan. I still think they shouldn't abandon the run. They should do what they do because you get a touchdown here and then a turnover can kind of flip the game as it did in this one. But King looks like this battle station is fully operational, Jeff.
I'll tell you what, I have to be impressed with the way this team has handled playing for Coach McMains in such short time and figuring out a whole new playbook. I mean, honestly, it's pretty impressive because on both sides of the ball, their big boys up front are holding line. They've got a great running back. They've got a bright young freshman quarterback. I'll tell you what, the Big Eight's going to be a little concerned. Some of the big boys up top might be concerned here.
And I was talking to Coach McMahon before the game. He said, hey, listen, Centennial and Norco, they're Centennial and Norco. People respect them for a reason. But, hey, we want to play. We want to play against the best. We want to see what we can do. We want to measure ourselves against that level of competition. Henderson from the 14. Up to the 20, bounces, trying to bounce outside, but gets taken down right there. McPherson there for the hit, along with Sam Green. So Poly with an opportunity with 5:18 to go. Still plenty of time, Jeff. Now, they won the toss. They deferred, so they'll get the ball in the second half. So if they can score here, they get the ball to start the second half, you're in pretty good position. But let's see what the game plan calls for. Trips to the near side. Bailey Brown closest to the quarterback. To the bottom of your screen is Mekhi Alexander. Now Madure shifts. Luna to throw. The screen out to Bailey Brown, and Brown down inside the 15 at the 14. Schankenberg there to make the play on him. A flag comes in from behind.
They're going to call a hold.
Bailey Brown with an interesting football lineage. His father, I think his father's in the building tonight. Dennis Brown, who's
that guy?
Athletic director over at North and one of the assistant coaches. Older brother Brody also played at Poly, was a 2020 graduate of the Bears, with the Bears.
The Browns are like the Calhouns. There's a million of them. You go to any high school in America or any high school in Riverside, and you mention a Brown, they're related to Dennis Brown. And then you say, hey, there's always a Calhoun somewhere as well.
So the penalty backs them up to the 8-yard line. Just the second penalty on the Bears. Luna throws. McPherson, did he get it? McPherson with the pick, but a flag on the play. It was intended for Tajon Henderson. Let's see what Tim Watt has to say. It's going to go against King. So McPherson with the pick, but wiped that away. It'll be first down for Poly, and they'll move the ball up 10 yards. 6 penalties for 63 yards already against King. We're just in the first half. Ball back to the original line of scrimmage at the 21.
Little rivalry causing some penalties here.
Alexander to the top of your screen in the far slot, Bailey Brown. Empty backfield. Max protect. Luna gets away from the first wave, throws, completes it to Bailey Brown over the 30-yard line, very close to a first down.
Big catch, big play there.
Bailey Brown's a playmaker as well for Poly. You need to get the ball in his hands, and they'll move the sticks.
But, King, they're playing man on the outside, so they're really challenging.
That's what I do. If I was King, that's what I do. Load 8 in the box. You have Simley on one side. You have Torrey Simmons on the other side.
Exactly.
And then let Dayton Ford be Ed Reed. He's going to play center field. He's already had 2 picks. He had a pick 6 last week against Rev. Let him be that playmaker on defense. That's exactly what they're doing. 1st and 10 from the 32 for Poly. This is Cloak into the game. Throws to the outside. It's intercepted. Making the pick. That's Schankenberg making the interception. So Schankenberg makes the pick. Another turnover. So again, they'll be in Poly territory at the 36. How about that? As we were just talking about it, just you're playing man on the outside. That's just man-on-man coverage right there. Looking for Bailey Brown. Schankenberg jumps the route.
And that's twice the same play they've been picked off on.
1st and 10 from the 36.
On the same drive, actually.
Now, timeout King. There was some confusion in the huddle. So now you're down 17-0. If King can put another 6 on the board, it becomes difficult. Because the bread and butter. Now, listen. Poly's in a tough spot. They don't have already. They're playing without Ethan Jackson. He's ill, and they miss him on the defensive side. But most importantly, on the offensive side, as a tight end, he's a safety net, safety blanket for the quarterbacks, and he's a good blocker. But then you don't have your tailback either. Angel Sanchez unavailable now. He's playing, but you see if you notice number 33 in the orange jersey, he's got a big cast on his hand. He can't take a handoff, Jeff.
That's why you got to go left. You might have to put him in it. You might have to give it a shot. We saw him before the game. He said he was ready to play.
He said he's going to cut his cast off.
That's what he said.
Coach Rice said, no.
Yeah, please don't.
No, big fella. You can't do that. From the 36. Tight formation. Toss. Neal. To the outside, finds the edge, still on his feet, tackled inside the 10-yard line. Luna is there. He got help from Gabe Robinson. Flag comes in on the play. What does Tim Watt have to say? He's the law in these parts. Looks like it's all coming back.
He does a lot of dumbbell curls. Look at him. He's big.
Yeah. Hold on King.
Who's bigger, he or Ed Hockley?
Well, you have to say Hockley, but he's on his way. Let's put it that way.
He's right there.
From the 35, it's 1st and 10. Harrows throws complete to Simley Flores, and a convoy of orange shirts there. Sanchez makes the tackle. Larry Morris was there as well. He got some resistance. Flores kind of danced around, and then Sanchez able to make the hit. So mark it to the 27-yard line. They're doing a nice job on Simley Flores on the outside, just his second reception. Harrows has been pretty solid as well. So 9 yards on the play. Call it 2nd and 1.
See Coach Maines on the sideline there.
Both greens in the formation, Jeff, to the top of the screen. Rob and Sam. Ball on the turf. Harrows didn't see it. It's going to be Poly football. Michael Luna scoops it up for the Bears, and some life for Poly in this rivalry game.
I'll tell you what, all Luna had to do is lean over, pick it up, and run. There was nobody around.
Couldn't quite see it, kind of turned all the way around. Luna saw it all the way and didn't try to be a hero. He just fell on the football.
Landed on it and says, hey, we got to make something out of this.
So at 3:38, King turns the ball over. So the King defense plays around the interception. Let's see if the offense can capitalize here. A score would be big closing out the first half. 3:38 to play. 1st and 10. Line is the 36. Flags come in. Whistles. Be against King. They'll mark it off. 5-yard mark off. The 8th penalty on the Wolves. They've given up 78 yards in penalties and still lead this one 17-0. How about that?
That's a pretty darn good game there for those guys. Giving up that many penalty yards and still being up 17. Pretty big.
First and 5 from the 41 for Poly. Bailey Brown to the top of your screen. Split out to the near side, Mekhi Alexander. Tajon Henderson, the lone man in the backfield with Luna. Luna, maybe a yard on the play. McPherson in on the tackle. Also in on the play for King, Marcus Harper.
And the Poly offense just looks kind of out of sorts tonight. I don't know if it's...
Well, they need to establish a rhythm running behind those big boys up front. You know, Fuentes, Padilla, Guzman, Luna, and Fuentes. We saw them do a great job against Hillcrest. I just think they haven't been able to establish any kind of rhythm.
I mean, any rhythm at all. You watch it in the replays, guys are running the wrong spots.
So Luna with 5 on the play. Call it 2nd and a long 4. He'll keep the ball. Luna with the first down near midfield, about an 8-yard pickup on the play. So he's got 25 yards on 8 carries, does Luna. Sticks move up. Call it the 49. Sense of urgency for Poly. They trail 17-0 here. 1st and 10 from the 49. Trips to the near side. Wasn't expecting it. This ball snapped early. Luna just fell on it. A 5-yard loss on the play. So they're lining up Angel Sanchez, who's their tailback, who had over 200 yards in his first 2 games. He's lining up basically as a tight end, Jeff.
Yes, he is.
So not uncommon for players to forget the snap count. When your center does, it makes it difficult for everybody. It happens. It's not a big deal. Trips to the bottom of your screen. Luna, under pressure, steps up, throws over the middle, in and out of the hands of Bailey Brown, right to Elijah Simley Flores. He's off to the races. Weaving inside now. He has the ball dispossessed. Loose on the turf. Who's got it? Simley Flores with the pick, and a flag comes in on the play. I believe King will keep it, and now some tempers flaring a little bit, and order restored quickly. So King will keep it. Falling on the fumble by Simley Flores is Jacob Cook. Cook, Johnny on the spot. The ball returned to the 35-yard line. Flags came in immediately. A personal foul whistled against King.
Enrique Guzman knocked that out of Harris's hand. There's a little melee on the field there. Little smack talking.
So it'll be first down King. They'll move the ball back to midfield. And already 93 penalty yards against King here in the first half. 9 penalties already for 93 yards for the Wolves, and they still lead at 17-0. And that hurts Poly a great deal, that turnover.
Man, I'll tell you what, it almost kills them if they can score here. I
want to see McMains if he'll take a shot down the field. Let's see what he does here. Harrows with the give, and down he goes. How do you do? Sneaking into the backfield to make the hit, A.J. Perez-Renteria, just a sophomore linebacker for Poly, making the big hit.
Great timing. He went in untouched.
So timeout called by King here as they lose 5 yards on the play.
Distractions like texting or listening to music can be deadly. Did you know that you may not hear a train coming until it's too late? Trains can come from any direction at any time and on any track. Just a reminder, the train tracks are not meant for walking, sitting, stopping, or taking selfies. So stay off, stay away, and stay alive. This message is brought to you during the National Rail Safety Month, courtesy of the Riverside Transportation Commission and California Operation Lifesaver. Stay off the tracks, people.
So 17-0, King leading Poly in this rivalry game. 15th meeting between the two teams. It's even Steven, Jeff. Both teams have won 7 games. 2nd and 15 from the 45 of King. 2-by-2 for the Wolves. Harrows right up the middle as Sanchez dumps it off to Neal. Neal gets back to the original line of scrimmage. He's taken down inside Poly territory. Making the tackle is Gabe Robinson for Poly.
But the back judge threw a flag late. Let's see what they call here.
Looks like it's going to go a hold. So it's they're going to offset the penalties. They'll do it over. So the dreaded do-over, Jeff.
That's something we used to play in the street. Give me a do-over.
So back to the 45-yard line. Harrows 8 of 10 through the air thus far for 103 yards. Check that, 106 yards, unofficially, of course. Freshman has looked very poised. He's had 2 very good games for King. From the 45, a 2nd and 15. Harrows airs it out. Simile Flores down the field. One-on-one. Nearly picked it off. Gabe Robinson was in coverage on the play. Nearly a acrobatic catch by Simile Flores a King. Instead, it'll be 3rd and 15.
They went for it. You said they would. McMains, known for maybe a little bit of a gambler.
2-by-2, it's Simile Flores to the top of your screen. Here's the jailbreak coming in. Harrows gets away from it, flings it down the field. He's got a man. It's complete to Hoover. Hoover to the house. Touchdown, King. 45-yard strike. Noah Harrows on the run. Hits Hoover in stride. And the Wolves are barking here at Ramona High School.
Holy cow. What a play from the young man. Talking about poise. He hit a strike perfectly down that sideline.
I mean, Hoover was in front of his defender. All Poly had to do was knock Harrows off balance, and he kept his poise. He kept his eyes turned upfield, and he gunned it to Hoover for the strike and the touchdown.
Man alive.
Milstead puts it through, and it's 24-0. 58 and 0.6 of a second to play in the second quarter. Here's another look.
I mean, watch the young man. If you're a young quarterback or an old quarterback, great spin to get out of it.
Micah Aaron applying the pressure. Harrows gets away from him, and then he sees Hoover, and what a pretty throw.
Threw off his wrong foot.
Hoover had to step on the defender, got the ball, and after that it was just a foot race. Nice try at the end. Joshua Smith tried to make a touchdown-saving tackle, but to no avail.
Yeah, watch this pivot and roll out to evade. And just to have the frame of mind to see his, what a move. Watch this throw. Right off the opposite leg is incredible. That's some power from the young freshman. That's a hard throw.
I mean, I've never seen Noah Harris play baseball. I'm guessing he's probably a pitcher.
He better be. If he's not, make him one.
Yeah. Get Dave Serrano on the phone. Serrano, the head baseball coach at CSUN. He's a pitching guy. I'll have to send this tape to Serrano.
Hey, look at this kid.
Yeah, Justin Johnson, I'm sure, knows about it too, the head coach at UC Riverside.
He's probably a shortstop.
Yeah. 24-0 King. Milstead to kick it away.
Well,
Nadur back with Henderson.
You're a baseball guy. Isn't the shortstop usually the best athlete on the
Usually. Touchback for Milstead. Saw Derek Jeter going to the Hall of Fame this weekend. Ted Simmons, Larry Walker, as they call him in Montreal. We have family in Montreal, so we would spend the summer there or go there for vacation. And I loved listening to the expos in French. I was taking French in junior high.
Parlez-vous français?
Je parle un peu de français, si. Donnez-moi un coup de poing sur le nez avec une pamplemousse.
You know what? You had me at hello.
24-0 King. Poly trying to rally back. Let's see what they can do. From the 20, it's 1st and 10. Chase Shackelford, heat-seeking missile, takes the ball away, but to no avail. Carrying the ball for Poly, Felix Fuentes. Dropped him in his tracks. Shackelford in the spring season, Jeff, played only 5 games, had 65 tackles and 4 sacks.
Man.
Talk about a haymaker. I mean, he's just, commanding the middle of that defense along with Matthew Tyndall. That's part of the reason they play the 4-2-5. Their two linebackers, just such great range. Second down coming up. Luna weaving through the defense, close to a first down, dives forward to the 30-yard line. Tackle on the play made by Robert Green Jr. Sticks move up. 30 yards on 10 carries for Luna.
I tell you, I saw Bob Green. He's an assistant coach over at King.
You were talking to him before the Ramona game, I remember.
Yeah, he honestly was one of the strongest human beings. He could lift a house.
Now, was he a Ramona guy?
No, he was a Rubidoux guy.
Rubidoux. As is Jason McMains, right?
Very, very good.
So
friends.
do they both play for Wayne Cochran?
I believe so.
And that's the end of the first half. Clock expires, and King 24-0 over Poly. And this wasn't anything we were expecting, Jeff.
No, I thought this was going to be, a tight game. I thought we'd have a 10-7 final in this game. But King came out, put up 24 points, and Poly just looked a little starstruck in a big game.
The difference is this, a couple of mistakes, but when King is needed to make plays, they've been able to make them. They had a 3rd and, I think, 23 in that first drive. They converted the first down to midfield, and I think that set the tone for them, and it got Poly's defense on their heels a little bit.
It did, and I'll tell you what, defensively, King was jumping gaps. They seemed to watch and knew exactly what Poly was doing, and it's been all defense and all offense. It's been all Martin Luther King.
Yeah, King up 24-0 here at the half at Ramona High School. The Bears and Wolves rivalry game. Halftime festivities coming up. We'll show you a little bit of those. We'll go back to our studios for some messages from the city of Riverside, but right now the Wolves barking heavily against the Bears. Let's see if the Bears can regroup at halftime. 24-0 King over Poly. Jeff and I are back with all the second half action later on Riverside TV. Thanks for joining us.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.
My name is Melissa Olmos, and I'm a driver operator in the Department of Refuse for the City of Riverside, and I've been doing this for 4 months already. I really enjoy it because this job is not like a routine, so every day is different. So I'm assigned to do the bookings. The residents call to the city to be serviced, and these items is large furniture, mattress, and appliance. The residents, they have 2 times a year, and these items, I put it in the back of the packer, and the packer crashes and compact these items so I can take it to the dump. My favorite part of the job is driving the truck. Since I was younger, my dream was to be a driver. And now that the City of Riverside gave me this opportunity, I really enjoy it. I'm really proud of what I do because when I go to the residents' houses, I see the faces, they're happy because we're picking up the items they don't want anymore. So I try to get in here because this is a better job for me with a better stability. And I wanted to because I want to set a good example for my 2 daughters that I have. One of my hobbies that I have is go hiking. I like the outside activities like camping, and I also enjoy riding motorcycles. If I have to describe my job in one word, it will be it's perfect.
Engine 1 AMR, respond with RPD for a traffic accident with injuries. In 1234 Main, cross of Columbia, 2 vehicles involved.
Each year, the Riverside City Fire Department responds to 40,000 emergency calls.
431.
And the men and women of the Riverside Police Department drive Code 3 every day.
We need your help so you know what to do when you see emergency vehicles.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right. So help us help you.
We need you to pull to the right. We are proud of the Riverside Police Department's tradition of integrity, service, and excellence. RPD officers are disciplined, well-trained professionals who always lean forward to make our community safer and more livable. We are always looking for mature, educated men and women who want to apply their courage and judgment to serve the people of Riverside. If that's who you are, we want to talk to you.
is our very first building of a Little Free Pantry. We are building a Little Free Pantry in our community. It will be one of the 26 throughout Riverside that will help fill the gaps of food scarcity here in Riverside. Data is telling us now that 1 in 6 families are hungry. It's about 44% of adults and about 50% of children that are hungry here within our own neighborhood, in our own backyard.
Because of the pandemic, there's a lot of hunger out there. There's a lot of families in need, and we hope that this will act as a bridge until families are able to get the food that they need. I think that there are always those times where we are living paycheck to paycheck and we need just a few cans of something to get us by. So these little pantries will serve in that capacity, and we're really excited to see something that will help families in need.
And this has been a wonderful collaboration with the Riverside Mutual Aid Network, IEHP, here at Sandals Church, and the City of Riverside. So this has been a fantastic opportunity for community members to step up and to fill a real void in our city, which is food insecurity. So the idea is that if one of these free little pantries in your neighborhood, you could stock it as frequently or as infrequently as you want to. And the idea behind it is that when people have extra food, it doesn't go to waste.
These pantries are just kind of the first step, right, for reintroducing neighbors back to each other, getting folks involved in taking care of each other again, and just strengthening those community bonds that Riverside is so known for. Because things like food drives and food distributions, they're really good, but they only help folks in that moment of need. And we wanted to create something that would continue giving back 5, 10, 15 years from now, and really allow the community to get back into taking care of each other, instead of maybe relying on, just government or nonprofit structures to kind of take care of them.
If others want to follow suit, they can apply at riversideca.gov/cares is an application, or they can email us at neighbor@riversideca.gov to receive an application to host a Little Free Pantry in their neighborhood.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.
My name is Melissa Olmos, and I'm a driver operator in the Department of Refuse for the City of Riverside, and I've been doing this for 4 months already. I really enjoy it because this job is not like a routine, so every day is different. So I'm assigned to do the bookings. The residents call to the city to be serviced, and these items is large furniture, mattress, and appliance. The residents, they have 2 times a year, and these items, I put it in the back of the packer, and the packer crashes and compact these items so I can take it to the dump. My favorite part of the job is driving the truck. Since I was younger, my dream was to be a driver. And now that the City of Riverside gave me this opportunity, I really enjoy it. I'm really proud of what I do because when I go to the residents' houses, I see the faces, they're happy because we're picking up the items they don't want anymore. So I try to get in here because this is a better job for me with a better stability. And I wanted to because I want to set a good example for my 2 daughters that I have. One of my hobbies that I have is go hiking. I like the outside activities like camping, and I also enjoy riding motorcycles. If I have to describe my job in one word, it will be it's perfect.
Engine 1 AMR, respond with RPD for a traffic accident with injuries. In 1234 main cross of Columbia, 2 vehicles involved.
Each year, the Riverside City Fire Department responds to 40,000 emergency calls.
431.
And the men and women of the Riverside Police Department drive Code 3 every day.
We need your help, so you know what to do when you see emergency vehicles.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right. So help us help you.
We need you to pull to the right. We are proud of the Riverside Police Department's tradition of integrity, service, and excellence. RPD officers are disciplined, well-trained professionals who always lean forward to make our community safer and more livable. We are always looking for mature, educated men and women who want to apply their courage and judgment to serve the people of Riverside. If that's who you are, we want to talk to you.
Today is our very first building of a little free pantry. We are building a little free pantry in our community. It will be one of the 26 throughout Riverside that will help fill the gaps of food scarcity here in Riverside. Data is telling us now that 1 in 6 families are hungry. It's about 44% of adults and about 50% of children that are hungry here within our own neighborhood, in our own backyard.
Because of the pandemic, there's a lot of hunger out there. There's a lot of families in need, and we hope that this will act as a bridge until families are able to get the food that they need. I think that there are always those times where we are living paycheck to paycheck and we need just a few cans of something to get us by. So these little pantries will serve in that capacity, and we're really excited to see something that will help families in need.
And this has been a wonderful collaboration with the Riverside Mutual Aid Network, IEHP, here at Sandals Church, and the City of Riverside. So this has been a fantastic opportunity for community members to step up and to fill a real void in our city, which is food insecurity. So the idea is that if one of these free little pantries in your neighborhood, you could stock it as frequently or as infrequently as you want to. And the idea behind it is that when people have extra food, it doesn't go to waste.
These pantries are just kind of the first step, right, for reintroducing neighbors back to each other, getting folks involved in taking care of each other again, and just strengthening those community bonds that Riverside is so known for. Because things like food drives and food distributions, they're really good, but they only help folks in that moment of need. And we wanted to create something that would continue giving back 5, 10, 15 years from now, and really allow the community to get back into taking care of each other, instead of maybe relying on, just government or nonprofit structures to kind of take care of them.
If others want to follow suit, they can apply at riversideca.gov/cares as an application, or they can email us at neighbor@riversideca.gov to receive an application to host a little free pantry in their neighborhood.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.
My name is Melissa Olmos, and I'm a driver operator in the Department of Refuse for the City of Riverside, and I've been doing this for 4 months already. I really enjoy it because this job is not like a routine, so every day is different. So I'm assigned to do the bookings. The residents call to the city to be serviced, and these items is large furniture, mattress, and appliance. The residents, they have 2 times a year, and these items, I put it in the back of the packer, and the packer crashes and compact these items so I can take it to the dump. My favorite part of the job is driving the truck. Since I was younger, my dream was to be a driver. And now that the City of Riverside gave me this opportunity, I really enjoy it. I'm really proud of what I do because when I go to the residents' houses, I see the faces, they're happy because we're picking up the items they don't want anymore. So I try to get in here because this is a better job for me with a better stability. And I wanted to because I want to set a good example for my 2 daughters that I have. One of my hobbies that I have is go hiking. I like the outside activities like camping, and I also enjoy riding motorcycles. If I have to describe my job in one word, it will be it's perfect.
Engine 1 AMR, respond with RPD for a traffic accident with injuries. In 1234 Main, cross of Columbia, 2 vehicles involved.
Each year, the Riverside City Fire Department responds to 40,000 emergency calls.
431. And the men and women of the Riverside Police Department drive Code 3 every day.
We need your help, so you know what to do when you see emergency vehicles.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right.
Pull to the right. So help us help you.
We need you to pull to the right. We are proud of the Riverside Police Department's tradition of integrity, service, and excellence. RPD officers are disciplined, well-trained professionals who always lean forward to make our community safer and more livable. We are always looking for mature, educated men and women who want to apply their courage and judgment to serve the people of Riverside. If that's who you are, we want to talk to you.
Today is our very first building of a little free pantry. We are building a little free pantry in our community. It will be one of the 26 throughout Riverside that will help fill the gaps of food scarcity here in Riverside. Data is telling us now that 1 in 6 families are hungry. It's about 44% of adults and about 50% of children that are hungry here within our own neighborhood, in our own backyard.
Because of the pandemic, there's a lot of hunger.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.
Distractions like texting or listening to music can be deadly. Did you know that you may not hear a train coming until it's too late? Trains can come from any direction, anytime, and on any track. Just a reminder, the train tracks are not meant for walking, sitting, stopping, or taking selfies. So stay off, stay away, and stay alive. This message brought to you during National Rail Safety Month, courtesy of the Riverside Transportation Commission and California Operation Lifesaver. I've already told you I'm a big fan of Operation Lifesaver because they advocate 2 things that I love: staying alive and riding trains.
The 2 best things ever. I agree with you 100%.
Are you a fan of the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life?
Of course I am.
When he talks about, train whistles, airplane engines, and boat, like the boat coming into dock are his 3 favorite sounds.
Well, one of my favorite sounds is, and I was thinking about this in the first half. I grew up here in Riverside. I grew up just down the street, maybe a half a mile from here. And every single night, one of my favorite things was the train whistles. You could hear it every night. And I miss that.
It's like a Johnny Cash song.
It does sound like a Johnny Cash song.
Scoring in the first half, it's all King. They lead at 24-0. 6:31 of the first quarter, a 10-play drive culminates in a 26-yard field goal from Evan Milstead. They scored at 8:12 of the second quarter. That was a 99-yard drive, culminating in a 32-yard pass from Noah Harros to Zyfer Schankenberg to make it 10-0. Noah Neal had a touchdown run in the second quarter with 5:24 to play to make it 17-0. And then with under a minute to play in the first half, Noah Harros, just a strike to Brian Hoover, 45-yard touchdown pass, makes it 24-0. All Wolves in the first half. What do you say to your team in the locker room if you're John Rice?
Say, hey, we got to make adjustments, guys. We've got to stop the run. We have to play smart, can't have any penalties, and we really have to be aggressive offensively. We have to try to score the ball.
Tajon Henderson and Ben Madura are back to receive. Evan Milstead to kick it away for King. So Poly will have the first offensive possession here in the second half. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ghazal Hassan. He's Jeff Gorham and our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew. Deep kickoff. Henderson lets it bounce. It'll come out to the 20 for Poly. Scott and Carey back in the truck. Brad was here today. Douglas is here. Steve is here.
They're all here.
Kimmy is here.
The legends.
I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, but they're all good people.
Are they?
They're good at putting the game together. That's almost secondary. They're good, well, except one of them.
Yeah.
There's one of them who's not, but we won't say that on the air.
No, we can't say. Scott Brocious, our fearless leader. He's one of the nicest people ever.
King held Poly to under 50 yards in the first half. They helped, though, with 93 penalty yards. 1st and 10 from the 20. Here's the toss. Here's Henderson, and down he goes. Shackelford, that heat-seeking missile, the first man to him. 4-yard loss on the play for Henderson.
Shackelford breaking all kinds of records here tonight.
What I find interesting, first game, Ramona ran for 193 yards. Our friend Bo Bruins behind that big offensive line for Ramona. They held Rev to 14 yards rushing last week. Now, part of that was they jumped out to the big lead.
Yeah.
So Rev kind of abandoned the running game, but they did a nice job against the run, even in the second half against Ramona.
Yes, they did.
So now not having Angel Sanchez, obviously a big disadvantage for Poly. 4-yard loss on the play, Luna throwing. And picked off. Making the interception on the far side, Zypher Schankenberg. That's his second pick on the evening.
And he just jumped the gap. You watch this. He sees it coming.
Another turnover. So 1st and 10, another short field for King. Well, I'll tell you what, we knew about the weapons on offense for the Wolves. The defense has been the difference so far tonight.
Oh, they've just been phenomenal. I mean, they have jumped the gap on every pass. They have funneled that offense to the middle of the field. They have taken away everything from
Harros
the Bears.
already with 2 touchdown passes, throws to the outside, looking for Simley Flores, airmails it. Just the 3rd incompletion. 8 for 11 for 106 yards is Noah Harros. And how about talking about the freshman quarterback?
He's phenomenal. I mean, he came out of nowhere this season. We saw him in that first game, and he is a lot better here in week 3 or week 4 or whatever we're in. But like I said, his poise and upside is incredible, and I think they have found their quarterback who's going to be phenomenal for the next 3+ years.
So the penalty will bring it closer. 3rd penalty on Poly. 2nd down and 10 for King. Trips to the top of your screen. Harros looking the other way, though. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Jaden Mosley. Mosley was covered by Castro on the play, Julius Castro, one of the defensive captains for Poly. 3rd and 10 coming up. We jinxed him. Now he's 8 for 12. He's thrown 2 incompletions in a row. Has Noah Harros. Now, if you look on the roster, it's Jaron, but I talked to Coach McMains before the game, and it's a preference. You know, his dad calls him Noah, so I call him Noah, and I said, okay, that's good enough for me.
That's who we're going with.
3rd and 10. Harros hit as he throws. Incomplete. Coming down the smokestack, that was Jeremiah Luna making the play for Poly. Another incompletion, 4th down.
To Poly with a pretty good defensive stance here in this series.
But the intrigue, because King's got a kicker. 32-yard field goal coming up for Milstead. He's already hit from 26 today. So the turnover, the interception by Schankenberg, well, they get points out of it. Milstead, it looks good, and it is good. Parts the uprights, 32-yard field goal for Milstead. And we talk about this at the high school level. If you have a guy who can convert, anywhere from 35 yards and in, you got a weapon, Jeff.
You do, and you have to get points at any chance you can. And if, like you said, we've seen great kickers here in the city of Riverside.
Lucas Harvisick.
Yeah, great kickers.
Poly always had a decent kicker, and I remember Mason Mapes for King a few years ago. He was pretty good. Yeah.
Poly had a young lady kicker.
Lauren Garthwaite.
That's right, Lauren Garthwaite, who was a great soccer player as well.
I think she's playing at Grand Canyon. I think, or maybe she might be done by now. That's how old we're getting, but I believe she played soccer at Grand Canyon.
You think she's that old?
She might be either might be graduated. This might be her senior year.
Holy smokes! We have been doing this a long time.
Remember, we missed all of last year, and then I missed a year because I was working over for the three-letter entity. We did some RCC together, but I didn't do high school with you.
No, and it was a very melancholy time for me.
Melancholy time for me too. Madur and Henderson back deep for Poly. 27-0 King. The Wolves pouring it on. End-over-end kick fielded at the 9. This is Henderson. Trying to get outside, and he's kind of stalked on the outside. That was Bob Green Jr., kind of forcing him. Looks like he may have pulled something as Henderson kind of grabbed, either cramped or might have pulled something. He's down on the sideline as Poly takes the field with 10:41 to play in the third quarter. They trail 27-0, and just not the game we thought we were going to see, Jeff.
No, I thought this was going to be a nail-biter all the way to the end. I thought both of these teams were evenly matched based on the opponents they played. But, man, King showing some strife here.
Well, to be fair, listen, we knew Ramona was better than Arlington.
We did.
And that was kind of the measuring stick. Hillcrest is pretty good, though. Izzy Morales gets an opportunity. He'll weave up to the 30-yard line. 6-yard pickup for young Izzy.
We talked to Coach Powell about Ramona High School, and he had some high praise for Coach Mush.
Yeah. I did not know he was one of the candidates for the job.
That's right.
Coach Powell, longtime head coach at San Jacinto. 2nd and 4 coming up. Line is the 28. Luna to Morales. Morales close to a first down, taken down by Sam Green. He's up to the 32-yard line. They'll move the sticks. So Izzy Morales, 2 carries for 10 yards. Gains a first down. We're joking with John Rice because he was telling us, no Angel Sanchez. But he's like, I got a bunch of young guys I can run. And I said, hey, Coach, all they need is 3.5 yards.
That's right.
Like, we can average 3.5 yards. You can move the ball. From the 33, it's a 1st and 10. Option. Luna keeps it, and how do you do? Jacob Cook down low. Up high for King was Evan Simon. Loss of 1 on the play. Second down and 11 coming up. Luna now 11 carries, 29 yards. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Luna throwing. Complete to the 36-yard line. Bailey Brown with the catch. 3-yard pickup on the play, 3rd down.
I was talking to the principal at Riverside Poly, Daryl Hanson, before the game, and he told me that Riverside Poly on October 8th is having their first Hall of Fame ceremony. There's a couple big names in that first class.
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller, Cheryl Miller. I believe there's going to be 15 inductees in the first class.
Bobby Bonds, posthumously.
Could be, but I don't believe he's in the first class. But
he should be. Luna throwing. Nearly picked off. Schenkenberg right there, intended for Bailey Brown. Incomplete, 4th down.
But remember, Riverside Poly, 1887. So they have people from.
They got a lot of prominent. Do we have the list shot of the prominent alumni? They have a lot of people.
Of course I do.
They have a Nobel Prize winner. They have a former Secretary of the Interior. They have a guy who was in the pole position of the Indy 500. Obviously, the Millers. They have Jake Marisnik and Austin Barnes.
Tyler
baseball.
Cleary, great swimmer. They have the national chess champion.
That's right.
Youngest chess champion.
He was a Grandmaster, yes.
Yes.
Flag on the play. This is going to go on the Wolves. They're going to be offside, so it'll turn it into a 4th and 2. The 10th penalty on King, 98 yards in penalty yardage. So I think the punt team's going to come off.
Hakeem Akbar.
The guy from New Jack City? No, I'm kidding.
Austin Barnes?
World champion? We talked to Austin. We talked to Austin Barnes.
You mentioned Bobby Bonds, another great one. Ben Lewis, who was the mayor of Riverside from 65 to 78.
Alan Yang, who's a writer on Parks and Rec and Master of None on Netflix. Comedy writer. I think he was class of 99. Luna with the handoff to Izzy Morales, and down he goes. And the ball over on downs to King.
And remember, another person being inducted into the first hall, Lauren Potter. Do you remember her? She was the actress that played a cheerleader with Down syndrome on the TV series Glee. She was also appointed on President Obama's President's Committee for People with Intellectual Disabilities.
I never watched Glee, but I'll tell you what, my sister will be very happy to hear that.
You didn't watch, and Bob Rule. I'm going to tell you right now, Bob Rule should be.
I remember you told me Bob Rule, big time guy.
Great player, just passed away last year.
And he was an RCC connection as well, correct?
Played RCC in the first state championship. In fact, he scored 48 points on Wilt Chamberlain.
1st and 10, line is the 38 after the ball goes over on downs. Simile Flores brought down by Bailey Brown. Simile Flores to the 32, so a 6-yard pickup on the play. Simile Flores now with 37 yards on 3 receptions. They've kept him in check, but everybody else has been pretty impressive. Hoover, 2 catches, 55 yards. Schankenberg, 2 catches, 61 yards. 2nd and 4 line is the 32. Simile Flores to the top of your screen. And somebody flinched. Looks like that'll be another penalty. So I tell you what, King's got to clean up these penalties. 11 penalties for 103 yards. False start. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, one person we always forget about here in the city of Riverside that I shouldn't say always forget, but the great Cynthia Woodhead, also known
Olympian.
as Sippy Woodhead.
Sippy, she was an Olympian swimmer, right?
Yeah, she was a silver medalist in the 84 Olympics in the 200-meter freestyle, and she was also a world champion in 78 and 79. Pool named after her at Bobby Bonds Park.
2nd and 9, throwing for Simile Flores over his head. Larry Morris on the coverage. So now 9 of 15 through the air for Noah Harros. He's got 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Harros, his first 3 games as a freshman, he has come out of the chute smoking.
It's pretty darn good.
(13 of 19 against Rev, 17 of 27 against Ramona. And thus far, unofficially, 9 of 15. Complete to Ford. Ford going to be spun down inside the 25-yard line. Tackle on the play made by Tanner Kirby. So about 15 yards on that completion as well. Dayton Ford getting into the action. And it all come back as King called on the hold. 12th penalty on King. So King has 113 yards in penalties. I think that's more than total yards for Poly. Poly, I have them unofficially 52 total yards. So the defense for the Wolves, they're stalking right now. Harros being chased, going to whip the ball downfield for Simile Flores. Jump ball, Simile Flores pulls it down at the 5.
Catch of the year right there. He went up to grab that thing. That was a straight jump ball. Look how high he gets up in the extension and catches it here. That's Lynn Swan.
That's young Jeff Gorham rising to catch it. 4 catches for Simile Flores, 62 yards. And what a combination those two will be the next couple of years.
Holy smokes, what a catch.
And a relatively quiet day for Simile Flores. 4 catches for 62 yards, but his other brothers are eating. 1st and goal from the 5. Hoover to the bottom of your screen. Simile Flores to the top of your screen in the far slot, McPherson. Here's the give right up the middle. Touchdown, King. Carrying the ball over the threshold, Jack Crouch with a touchdown. So a 5-yard touchdown run at 5:46 of the third quarter makes it 33-0. Milstead on for the PAT. Next game for King, they're at Patriot next week. Next game for Poly, Ram High.
And that's the big one right there. That's not the granddaddy. That's the great-granddaddy.
And that's PAT is good to make it 34-0. You and I are in a similar spot because I'm a UC Irvine grad, and when I was at UC Irvine, the rival was Cal State Fullerton.
Yes.
And Irvine hated Fullerton, and Fullerton hated Irvine, and a lot of the same kids that went to the same high schools would go to different schools. But since I've graduated and been away, I go back, and the alma mater on the Brent Center is about Long Beach State because they call it the black and blue rivalry. Somebody marketing rep got into a room and decided to make it a rivalry based on colors. You're in a similar spot because the first two high schools in Riverside were Poly and Ramona, and that's the rivalry. But why have they abandoned the Ramona rivalry?
I just think because they
different leagues. Were they in different leagues?
Yeah, different leagues, and just so many teams. I mean,
right.
Think back then. I bet they've played a million times.
So they up and probably until the 70s, that was the rivalry, huh?
You're darn right it was.
Well, when you were in high school,
no, it was a rival until I was done.
Okay.
We always thumped them though. I gave them a good thumping over here at Ramona.
34-0 King.
And our good friend Yancey Dotson gave his Poly a thumping when he was there too. I like to remind him of that.
So, illegal procedure call. It'll be a re-kick for King. 34-0. I don't think they mind.
No. Yeah, I had a true hatred when I was young for Poly. I did.
It's good. You're older now.
I'm older. I like Poly now. I shouldn't say it. All right, guys. I admit I like Poly because I like all the people over there.
There's a quote attributed to, I think it's Muhammad Ali, that if you think the same way at 50 that you did at 20, you've wasted 30 years of your life. So you've evolved. You've evolved.
Because for the first 20 years of my life, I anytime I saw green and orange, I was like, that's god awful.
Yeah, but you genuinely like some of the people. You like Yancey. You were very nice to John Rice when we talked to him earlier.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy a lot of guys at Poly. The Barry Hennegers of the world, another Ramona guy that graduated and went over to Poly.
And that'll be out of bounds, another flag on the play. Well, the only thing that King's going to wince at when they look at this film is all the penalties. I have them unofficially, Jeff. That'll be a penalty too, but 13 penalties for 118 yards, and Poly will just take the ball at the 35-yard line at this point. They trail 34-0. 5:46 to play in the third quarter. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you, along with our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew. It's been a fun one.
I am serious, and I mean this sincerely. I don't think there's anybody better than Yancey Dotson over at Riverside Poly. Person, everything. Family, wonderful guy, wonderful coach. I can't say enough about the guy. Wonderful guy.
Izzy Morales running. Sam Green rides him down at the 45-yard line, close to a second down. Sorry, it's 5-yard pickup on the play by Izzy Morales. Morales now with 15 yards on 3 carries. New quarterback also in for Poly.
You know, there's another guy over at Poly, Kelvin Butler, who was an All-American at North High School, was the starting center at UCLA when Reggie Miller was there. He teaches at Poly now, and I have a lot of North friends over there on 3rd and Chicago, and they saw Kelvin Butler on the sidelines with Yancey on the chain gang last year, and all of my North friends called and said, what is he doing? I had to, be an intermediary and say, hey, he's got a good job.
And be the peacemaker.
I was the peacemaker of both.
Option. Luna keeps it, fakes to Morales, and down he goes. Jacob Cook, his big body was sprawled across the bottom there for King. So 3rd down coming up. Clock continuing to move here. As our friend John Ramey says, clock turning.
That's right.
Is he underway? Are they? Yeah, they're underway. He's calling Nevada, Idaho State tonight up in Reno. It was great. Pep Fernandez got a cameraman up to Silver Springs, Nevada. In the Reno area. I said, you should have called Ramey. You would have gotten his Nevada Sportsnet people out there. 3rd and 7 for Poly. Alexander to the bottom of your screen. Luna throws, complete. Oh, what a play. Shackelford just hunting right now. Making the catch was Tanner Kirby. He's a pretty good-looking player. We saw him in the first game against Hillcrest. He made a couple of nice plays for Poly.
Yes, he did. Shackelford, though.
Shackelford is like Jefferson from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Jefferson.
He's just making every play. And Poly calls timeout, 3:51 to play here in the third quarter. At this point, if you're the coaching staff. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was having you. You got to do this, my man.
No, I got it. I got it.
You got it? You got it? All right, let's hear it in your best, your very best.
Distractions like texting or listening to music can be deadly. Did you know that you may not hear a train coming until it's too late? Trains can come from any direction at any time on any track. Just a reminder, train tracks are not meant for walking, sitting, stopping, or taking selfies. So stay off, stay away, stay alive. This message brought to you during National Rail Safety Month, courtesy of Riverside Transportation Commission and California Operation Lifesaver.
Can I tell you a story about a train track incident
Sure.
involving one of the greatest basketball players in the history of this city?
What happened?
Walked on a train track, got killed. Daryl Flicking was the leading scorer in RCC history, played at UC Riverside for one game. He was a victim. That's why I stay off the tracks.
Flag comes in. Looks like somebody on King jumped. 14th penalty called on the Wolves. 123 yards in penalties. So this would be, I mean, it looks dominating, but the stat sheet would be a lot more dominating if King didn't have all these penalties.
A lot of penalties.
But, you know how coaches are. I was reading our friend O.P. Vaipulu. The North Huskies won yesterday 26-6 against Summit. They went to Summit, and Summit had been playing pretty well. And he said, yeah, we got a lot to clean up. I'm like, Coach, you're 4-0. What do you have to clean up? He's like, we got a lot to clean up. You know how coaches are.
Coach speak.
No, that's not coach speak, though. That's, I mean, you're 4-0. You can just say, hey, happy to get the win. We'll go back and look at everything. But no,
Rollinson would say the same thing. All those guys, those big-time coaches.
4th and 2. Luna throws, complete, first down. Tanner Kirby to the 40-yard line. 12-yard pickup, third completion for Luna. First reception for Kirby. Now, remember, they're playing without Ethan Jackson, and he was a stalwart for them on the defensive side, and he's also their safety net as a tight end. So they're missing Ethan Jackson. He is ill. Micah Aaron got the start, next man up, and then Angel Sanchez, we saw him. He got a cast on that hand, unable to play running back. He's played in the game on defense and as a tight end, but hasn't been able to carry the ball. From the 40, 1st and 10. Option, Luna keeps. Luna running behind Sanchez. Runs through the first contact all the way inside the 30-yard line. Another first down. So Luna keeps playing.
Great move there from Luna. I think everybody thought he was down.
That was Dayton Ford who hit him, and he spun off the Dayton Ford hit, and he moves up. I believe it was Schenkenberg that finally brought him down. So not a first down. They marked him at the 31, second down and short. As we tick down towards 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. It's a 34-0 King lead. It's been all Wolves here tonight at Ramona. Lejon Johnson to the top of your screen. Far slot, Bailey Brown. Flexed out is Tajon Henderson, and timeout called by John Rice and the Bears on 2nd and 1 from the 31-yard line. So we're talking about the history of the series earlier. Poly had won the last 2 games. King had won the previous 3, and then Poly won in 2014 when they renewed the rivalry after a 2-year hiatus. These two teams played together from 2004 to 2007. They played together in the Ivy League. Then from 2008 to 2011, they were both in the Big 8.
That's right.
And then in 2012, the Inland Valley League formed, and Poly and North left to join the Inland Valley League, and the Big 8 was left with 6 teams.
That's right. We've totally forgot what they're played for. They're playing for a prop. They play
propeller.
The propeller. It's somewhere. I think it's over in the end zone by the scoreboard. You see a prop sitting on top of the.
A couple of years ago, remember we had a nice shot of the two principals kind of trying to pry the prop away from each other.
So whoever wins has that prop. Where do you put that?
So Poly has kept it in the trophy case the last 2 years, and looks like right now, barring a miracle, that King will regain it. And King will take the lead in this series because this is meeting number 15. Luna throws to the corner. In and out of the hands of Alexander. Alexander had it, was in coverage with Simile Flores, who's kind of looks like he might be cramping. Luna with a pump fake and then looks for the corner. where Alexander had a step on his defender, and Flores tried to make a play, and Alexander couldn't reel it in, incomplete.
Here we have a shot of the prop there for a second. Yeah, it's big. Where do you put that? In the
Trophy
principal's
case.
There's no trophy case that holds that thing. It sits in the principal's office, and it's used as a deterrent for kids that are causing problems. You guys see that big old prop?
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Exactly. Look at all the fans up there. 1 million people. Literally 1 million people here in the bleachers.
So 3rd and 1, they'll go empty. Interesting twist here from Bill Powell. Tajon Henderson in motion. Give to Henderson. Dashes, dives inside the 30. Should have the first down. Instead, they're going to mark him short. So they're going to say 4th and 1.
No, they moved it. They gave him a good spot.
Favorable spot, okay. My eyes aren't deceiving me, all right. So Henderson with the first down, fresh set. Line judge held up a fist, which looked like it was going to be 4th down.
That's right.
But upon further review, Bailey Brown to the top of your screen, to the bottom of your screen, Mekhi Alexander. 1st and 10 for Poly. They trail 34-0. Izzy Morales in motion. Now Luna. Throws looking for Brown. Brown under it. Touchdown, Poly. Michael Luna to Bailey Brown. A 30-yard touchdown strike with 2 minutes and 1 second remaining in the third quarter. Bears on the board.
Big pass, big catch, big play.
Dennis Brown smiling somewhere. Eli Dejanef on to try the PAT. Try to make this a 34-7 game as Will Cloak comes out to put the hold down. And it's through. 2 good kickers today, Jeff.
I love it.
So Dejanef 1 for 1 on his PATs. Evan Milstead 4 for 4 on his PATs. He's hit 2 field goals as well.
My only concern with Milstead is when he kicks field goals, he runs over to the sidelines, and they do like that chest bump thing. I don't want my kicker getting hurt.
Too valuable.
Just walk off the field and just say, don't touch me. Get away from me. I have a golden toe that cannot be injured.
We've discussed this many times before. You are a fan of high school kickers. You like them.
I think they've changed games.
It's better to have them than not have them, obviously.
That's true.
How many games have we seen turn because didn't have a kick? Who's the team a couple years ago that lost a game because they didn't have anybody to kick the PATs?
Oh, there was a game. I forget who that was.
You were doing it, I think, with Nick. So short kick, fielded at the 36-yard line. McPherson dives on it, and that's where King will start it up. So Noah Harros back out for King. Still the third quarter. I was wondering maybe they would go to the backup QB at some point. Jaden Mosley split out to the near side. Here's McPherson, takes the handoff. McPherson 40, 35, ridden down from behind by Michael Luna. So McPherson close to a first down on the play. And surprise, surprise, another penalty against the Wolves. That's 15 penalties against King, Jeff. 15.
That's got to be a record of some sort. I was just told one of our listeners just sent me a text and said the USC kicker got ejected the first play of the game for targeting. Not a pacifist.
Typical Trojan. I kid, folks. My loyalties do lie with you at UCLA.
You got to be happy right now.
What a great game against LSU. 1st and 20 from the 25. Here's the give up to the 28-yard line.
Hey, look who's up in our booth right now. You would be very surprised. Look at our esteemed former mayor.
Noah
Rusty
Thetford makes the
Bailey.
tackle. Noah Thetford makes the tackle, carrying the ball for King was Jack Crouch.
I'm going to turn over the headset here, Gazal, for you to say hello to the former mayor.
Rusty Bailey joins us.
What's going on around here?
You know what? You're not here as the mayor or ex-mayor. You're here as a Riverside Poly fan. Am I correct?
That's true.
You're a Poly
grad.
alum?
And my daughter goes there. My grandpa and my dad. 4 generations.
Under a minute to play. Harrow
What
swings
has
it out to
happened
Crouch. Crouch makes the catch up the sideline. Ooh. Collision at the 35. That did not look fun. And that's where he's down. It'll be 4th down coming up.
The Wolves are just running through the Bears tonight.
A tough one.
Man, look at that hit.
I mean, he got the
Offense
worst of
was
it.
doing the hitting.
Yeah. Gabe Robinson made the tackle but got the worst of it. And
So what's happened tonight? Tell me about it.
I just think King's defense has been playing very well since that second half against Ramona. They just carried it over today. I do think there are a couple of plays that Poly would like to get back.
Yeah.
But when King needed to make big plays, they made them, and Poly honestly didn't. And there are a couple of turnovers that switched the momentum of the ballgame.
Momentum is important, isn't it?
End of the third quarter, it's 34-7. King, we got Rusty Bailey with us.
Ouch.
So let me ask you, what you're mayor for many years of the city of Riverside. What have you gone to now? You're back to civilian life. How's that been for you?
Life is good. Life is good. I have more time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I have my nights off, my weekends off, and I'm actually back teaching at Poly High School, teaching government and assistant coach of the boys soccer team.
All right, so you're back among the community. That's
back
great.
in the classroom, man. I couldn't deny it. It's in my blood.
What was the experience? Mayor of your hometown. I mean, it's that's something they make movies and sitcoms about. Like, what was that like? I mean, you have to give us all the details, but just kind of from just a visceral, emotional reaction. A kid from Riverside being mayor of your hometown. Give me a little bit about that.
It was a roller coaster of love. I don't know if you like the
Good.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
but,
huge fan.
One of my favorite songs. So it's
Yeah.
a roller coaster of love. There was a lot of ups. There was some downs, some all arounds, but as a whole, it was a great experience. I loved representing my hometown when I went to Sacramento or D.C. or L.A. or overseas to sister city visits. Nothing better than representing your hometown.
I think that's a great thing about having Mr. Gorham here is we always talk about the history of the city. It's such a rich history of the city, which a lot of people don't
Nothing
know
like
about.
it.
I
Southern
love,
California.
for me, it's great because I get to learn about a great city.
1887, Poly started.
That's right. 3rd down coming up. First play of the 4th quarter. Crouch, and they toss to McPherson. McPherson trying to get the edge up to the 40, steps out of bounds over the 40-yard line. I don't know that he quite got the first down. He was trying to get to the 43. A little misdirection there, and then Harros, the freshman quarterback for King.
Freshman quarterback is taking it to us like this?
Makes it stepped out of bounds just over the 40 there.
I like the uniforms, though. I like that orange crush. Would have been good.
So you could address this. This is a question I can ask you. So we were on the field before the game, and there was a bunch of Green Machine T-shirts for Poly, but they're wearing the orange tonight. So it's hard to wear the Green Machine when your team's wearing the orange. Orange Crush would have been more apt.
You're right. There's a little bit of a
Evan Milstead on to punt for King. We got Rusty Bailey.
Got to bounce. Look at this.
In
Poly
the
got
press
to pick
box
that up.
with us. The kick bounces at about the 30, and it'll take a King bounce down inside the 10.
The Wolves are ravenous tonight. I can feel it.
49-yard punt, no return, and Poly will need to turn it around.
I can smell it. We got to get the Bears up on their hindquarters.
You were been a leader, Mr. Bailey. You're John Rice. You're in the locker room. What are you telling? You're down 34-7. About 12 minutes to play. What are you telling the Bears right now?
We got to start somewhere.
Okay.
Right? We got dignity. We got to represent Poly, and that is one play at a time. And we got to start some momentum somewhere. So why not at this game?
And I'm going to tell you, my broadcast partner here paid you an ultimate compliment because he always joked about running for mayor. But
What?
he said, you know what? Rusty Bailey does such a good job. I'm not going to run against him. I'll wait till he retires to run against him.
I always tell people they're thinking about running for I can either talk you into it or I can talk you out of it. What do you want me to do?
I think Jeff, because Jeff grew up in Riverside like you, I think he really wanted to be the mayor, but he just said, you know what, Rusty's a nice guy. I don't want to go up against him. That's what he said.
Well, he probably would have kicked my butt.
Luna looking over the middle, complete to Kirby, and he's decleated, making the hit. Dayton Ford sweeping up, and we were talking about him earlier, Jeff. Dayton Ford making a big play. He is that playmaker
Nice
in
play
the
action,
secondary.
though. Good little play action. He's didn't
Little
reel it
too
in.
much air because the Ford came in and was able to separate Kirby from the football from that safety position. Rusty Bailey, thanks for joining
Hey,
us
you
up
got
here.
it. Look at that rain cross in the middle, though.
You like
Look at
that?
middle of the field. That's
Beautiful.
Riverside right there.
Beautiful.
Hey, God bless you guys.
Thanks, as I say, thanks, Coach. No, thanks, Mayor Bailey.
Mayor Bailey came up here and grabbed me by the shoulders and said, hey, I'm going to talk to Ghazal Hassan.
We were talking about George Bailey earlier, and then we got Rusty Bailey up in the booth. When are you running for mayor, Jeff? When are you running?
I got to move back to Riverside, don't I?
I always joke, when I came in, they were checking people to get in. And I said I'm a close personal friend of the governor of Riverside, Jeff Gorham, which got a laugh, and it got me a parking spot.
Yes!
So it worked.
Well, I have one friend out there then.
Simon nearly gets Luna, throw over the middle, and Hoover there can't get it, intended for Bailey Brown. Incomplete, third down coming up.
I don't know. I didn't exactly hear what you said, but I'll be honest with you. If I could have ran against him, I think I'd have had a shot. I like him, but I think I might have had him.
You did like him, though. You said, I like Rusty.
Yeah, I think I could have got him, though.
I didn't know he's a teacher, though. I did not know that.
Yeah. Teacher, I believe he's got affiliation with Cal Baptist, and he's trying to still deal with the homeless problem.
So third down and 10. We had a little bit of excitement going on in the crowd while we were talking to the ex-mayor. Mekhi Alexander split out to the top of your screen. Bailey Brown to the bottom of your screen. Luna loads it up, looking for Alexander down the sideline, one-on-one, and Simley Flores with the pick at the 47. Simley Flores, he loses the football, and Polly gets it back. That is the second interception for Simley Flores, the second time he fumbled it. The first time King recovered it, that time it was Mekhi Alexander that fell on the loose ball, and a first down for Polly. They retain possession, so they get the first down in kind of a roundabout way. Here's the interception. Simley returning it. Looks like Tanner Kirby dislodged it, and Mekhi Alexander falls on it for Polly, and it's a first down for the Bears. So the Bears will not go 3-0 for the first time since 2014. They won their first 13 games that year. They went 4-0 to start the 2008 season as well. King going to 2-1 for the first time since 2015. Pump fake from Luna, steps up, throws. Down the middle, nearly picked off. Dayton Ford all over Bailey Brown. Second down and 10 upcoming. I'll give this to Mike Luna. He is battling. Numbers don't look good, but he's doing everything he can to keep his team in the football game.
He really is, and he's not shy to throw the football anywhere. You got to like that about a quarterback being down 34-7 and continuing to try to get guys open.
Mike Luna's father was a Poly alum. Transferred to Poly from King. How about that?
Wow.
From the 32 for Poly, second and 10. They trail big here 34-7. Finally got on the board at 2:01 left in the third quarter. Luna hit Bailey Brown for a 30-yard touchdown pass. Luna pump fake. Luna steps up, spins out of one tackle, and then he'll go down. Dragging him down from behind, Marcus Harper was the first man to him for King. He'll get up to the 35-yard line, a 3-yard pickup for Luna. He's now got 42 yards on 14 carries. Mentioned last time King started a year 2-1 was back in 2015. They won that overtime thriller. You saw the highlights before the game. 45-38 over Poly. That game was played at King High in overtime. It was, one of our first overtime games we ever did here on Riverside TV. Third and 5. Trips to the near side. Flag comes in. That'll go against King, and that'll be a first down. Another penalty on the Wolves. That's their 16th penalty. 138 yards in penalty yardage, and a first down coming up for Poly. It was a 3rd and 5. They'll move the ball up to the 40. King in 2013, Jeff, started 6-0.
That's right.
And they ended the Citrus Hill. Citrus Hill had that Doug Dubois. They had that big winning streak.
That's right.
They knocked them off 24-17. They were 6-0. And they ended the year 6-4 and missed the playoffs. And it was just a heartbreaking year for them. They lost a triple overtime game to Santiago. They lost an overtime game to Norco, and Norco was very good that year. And then they lost. It was a turnover, a late turnover. I want to say it was a pick six, but I don't remember exactly. It was a game against Roosevelt. It was their final game. Whoever won that game, if King had won that game, they probably would have made the playoffs. As Luna keeps it on the option, and he gets stood up. That's got to be Shackelford. Shackelford showing up in a bad mood. Maybe a 1-yard pickup by Luna. And what was interesting is that year, Jeff, Centennial won it all. Centennial won the Inland Championship that year. Norco made the semifinals that year. I think they lost to Vista Murrieta that ultimately played Centennial in the final. And even Santiago, our good friend Jeff Steinberg was the head coach at the time, they won a game.
That's right.
They won a game. They got to the second round. So all the teams out of the Big Eight won games in the playoffs that year. A good year for the Big Eight. Trips to the top of your screen. Mekhi Alexander split out wide. Here's Will Cloak to throw, the quarterback. Wings it to the outside. Nearly picked off by Shackelford. Second down coming up.
When you watch our game, it's done so professionally. It looks like a network game. You know why that is? Because we have a great crew, and they teach young students, CTE programs here in the city of Riverside. We have Shay is directing, and Fernando is on the camera. And those guys are working with us tonight, and they are students at Riverside Poly. They've done a great job directing and doing some camera work for us.
That's why it's been so good, huh? Poly students.
Every game we try to have a few working for us at Riverside TV.
2nd and 10, Cloak with the pump fake, looking outside, complete to Sanchez. Spins out of the McPherson tackle. Second time, McPherson gets help from behind, bringing him down. Evan Simon helps out. Still completes it to midfield. 9-yard pickup on the play. Good throw there by Cloak. And you see the big cast on the left hand there. That's why Angel Sanchez hasn't been able to carry the football.
Sanchez is down. He's got look like he had a cramp. Well, it was about 103 when we showed up today.
Yeah, it was. You're correct. You are correct, sir, as Ed McMahon would say.
Look at that big cast.
Yeah. And now they have to wrap the cast. We saw the cast before, and the athletic training staff has to wrap that cast. There were two students out here from CBU. CBU's got if you want to be an athletic trainer, they have a tremendous program in the city of Riverside. Distractions like texting or listening to music can be deadly. Did you know that you may not hear a train coming until it's too late? Trains can come from any direction, at any time, on any track. Just a reminder, the train tracks are not meant for walking, sitting, stopping, or taking selfies. So stay off, stay away, stay alive. This message brought to you during National Rail Safety Month, courtesy of the Riverside Transportation Commission and California Operation Lifesaver. I rode the train to Riverside once.
You did?
I did. I think I was when Ramey and I were still working together, and I was going to lift back with him. So he's like, why don't you just take the train in? I took the Metrolink. It drops you off at the downtown Riverside. You can take a bus straight to UCR. That's what I did.
You know what my son did? He took the train from Riverside to Oceanside. He took his bike and his surfboard and got off in Oceanside, rode his bike down, and went surfing and came back. And it was only $10, I think he said.
It used to be that weekend rate used to be $10 the whole weekend. Yeah. I don't know if they still do that. Is Sanchez still down?
I couldn't do that. My son's 15. He's a world traveler.
34-7, King over Poly. Scoring started in the first quarter with 6:31 to play in the first quarter. Evan Milstead drilled a 26-yard field goal, a 10-play, 53-yard drive for King. The next scoring came in the second quarter, 8:12 to play, culminating a 99-yard drive. Harros to Schankenberg, a 32-yard touchdown pass made it 10-0 in favor of King. And then just a couple of minutes later, 5:24 to play, Noah Neal took it in from 1 yard out to make it 17-0. And then with about a minute left in the first half, 58.6 seconds to be exact, Noah Harros hit Brian Hoover for a 45-yard touchdown strike, and it went to the locker room 24-0 in favor of Poly. Then in the third quarter, field goal from Evan Milstead at 10:52 made it 27-0. A 5-yard touchdown run by Crouch at 5:46 made it 34-0. And then with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, finally Poly on the board. Michael Luna hits Bailey Brown with a 30-yard touchdown pass to make it 34-7. That's where we stand right now with 8:46 left to play. Good look at John Rice there clapping for his player, and Sanchez getting help to the sideline. Hopefully it's just a cramp. Playing hurt for his team, trying to help his team, Angel Sanchez.
You know, we talked about the notable alumni for Poly. And there was lists and lists and lists. Go back to the notable alumni for King.
It's a short list. It's 3 people, right? Let me guess.
Okay.
Tony Snell,
Kawhi
Snell, Leonard, and Robert Malone.
And Carlin Brown. Carlin Brown, I told you, was the best player on that Kawhi Leonard team.
Luna completes it to the outside for a short gain, a couple of yards on the play. Izzy Morales on the catch, tackle by Jack McPherson. I know you know McPherson's dad. Did you guys play together?
We grew up together.
Okay.
Dan McPherson, one of my high school buddies.
No, he's a Ramona guy.
Ramona guy. Has a son over at King. Tough kid. Dad was a tough guy. He would have been a great football player. He was just a little undersized, but played his first couple of years. He used to go out and yell at him when he was playing. It was fun. Good dude. Good father. Great son here playing for King.
4th and 1 from the 48 for Poly. Luna with the option. He's going to get the first down and more to the 40. Puts his head down, leans forward. Drayton Ford makes the tackle. He's down inside the 35, about a 13-yard pickup for Luna. So Luna just grinding along. 16 carries for Luna for 56 yards. They'll mark it at the 35. A first down either way for Poly. And Will Cloak comes in. 2-quarterback platoon for Poly. Cloak more the thrower. Luna more the option, the runner. Mekhi Alexander to the top of your screen. In the far slot, that's Bailey Brown. Split out to the bottom of your screen, LeJean Johnson. And the ball on the turf, and it's covered up by King. Another turnover. Is that Jacob Cook? Jacob Cook again on the spot. That might have been knocked out by his own lineman, and Jacob Cook was just right there. Martin Luther King football. Finally, Poly looked like they had something going, and a turnover. Another mistake. And unofficially, I think that's the 5th turn. Well, yeah, the 5th turnover. So obviously, if you're Poly, this is kind of one you just want to write off. They'll talk about it. They'll watch the film. They got to get ready for Ramona. Ramona's going to be tough.
That'll be a fun one.
1st and 10 from the 46. Here's the toss. Running outside for King. That's Julian Leyva. Leyva, the young sophomore, gets into Poly territory. About 6 yards on the play. I had one thing that Jason McMain said to me that I thought was interesting. Our discussion that we had before the game is we were talking about Poly, and he was very complimentary of Coach Rice. Obviously, you mentioned Coach Powell and Coach Rice and Coach McMain are all good friends. He said, Ramona's line, offensive line, helped us because they were a big offensive line. So that game is going to help us scheme for this game.
That's right.
And then obviously it's worked out because defensively King has been pretty superlative tonight, Jeff. So a 7-yard pickup on the carry by Leyva. 2nd and 3 coming up. And movement, it'll be a penalty, another penalty. That's the one thing. That's 17 penalties now.
That's a lot of penalties.
Against King for 141 yards.
You know, talking about September 11th, you know, the city of Riverside TV, in honor of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, they documented the story of the Riverside firefighters that traveled back to New York to help in the search and rescue efforts at Ground Zero. The documentary is available on the city YouTube channel. I suggest everybody look it up. It's really something special. You know, we were the only plane in the air after 9/11 escorted firefighters from March to New York City. They were back within 10 hours. That's a pretty amazing story. Check it out on the Riverside TV YouTube channel.
Jaden Mosley makes the catch. Daniel Roach in the ball game, the lefty, the senior for Martin Luther King. He completes it to Mosley, and Mosley dances into Poly territory. Medor brings him down. 3rd and short upcoming. So Noah Harris done for the day. Noah 11 of 16 for 137 yards unofficially and 2 touchdown passes. Another good performance for him. Leyva with the carry up the middle. Check that. That's Crouch. Crouch tackled at the 41-yard line, runs right into the arms of A.J. Perez Renteria for Poly. So under 5 minutes to play. And I believe we have a running clock at this point, Jeff.
Yeah, I think so. I think being so hot, no injuries, let's play this out smart so these teams can get into next week unscathed.
So Martin Luther King, the Wolves, announcing their presence with authority in this rivalry game. They've really controlled it from the beginning. Roach with the give to Crouch. Tanner Kirby, I believe, made the tackle there. So Crouch with the run. Instead, that's Noah Thetford on the tackle. .39-yard line. And you forget, in the spring, March 26th, the first game of the spring, Jason McMains, 39-9, Citrus Hill knocked off Poly. And in the conversation that you and I had with John Rice earlier in the year, he really thought they made their strides in the weight room because he thought they got pushed around last year. You know, with the COVID situation, you didn't have a full weight room. They bought the weights out on the field over the spring and the summer. That's how they were able to get their full weight program in place at Poly. Crouch surges forward for a couple. 3rd down coming up. Instead, that's Leyva, 44, not 45. Leyva takes the ball and kind of tucks inside. And Renteria again with the tackle for Poly. And we got to give props to the big boys up front for the Wolves. They've been very good. Corey Daniel, Jake Holland, Matt Tyndall, Kenneth Felt, Shimon Gray. We saw Christopher Downs, Daniel Garcia today, Aiden Ruelas. Jacob Cook on both sides, covering fumbles on the defensive side as well. 3rd and 6 coming up. Leyva up the middle, 1st down. Inside the 30-yard line. Kirby there along with Luna. Clock continues to move. It's a pretty dominant game by King today. And this will be a model. I actually thought that Poly would watch that Ramona tape and try to incorporate what Ramona did. Now, to be fair, you know, you're playing without Ethan Jackson. You're playing with Angel Sanchez in a cast. But John Rice said to us, hey, it's got to be next man up. That's the way the sport works. 1st and 10 from the 29. This is Leyva gashing, diving forward to the 25. 4-yard pickup on 1st down. But we talked about it a couple times. Time to regroup.
Time to regroup, and you got a few more games left in this season. And I'll tell you what, Poly's still much improved as we've seen, but man, I'll tell you what, this King team, wow, they've come out of literally nowhere. And
I think we thought this was going to be a pretty close game. I thought both teams were pretty good. And, you know, Bill Powell made a great point to us, and we'll discuss it as we go. We only got 90 seconds left. Clock's still moving. He talked about Ramona. Julian Leyva makes it, and he's still riding the backs of his linemen all the way up to the 20-yard line, close to a first down. It'll be 3rd and 2. And he said the kids at Ramona, they played for a CIF final in 2019. So now whenever the new kids come in, there's an expectation of success.
And there's an element of winning. And
that's what happens. And we were talking to him about it. He said, hey, you guys go 3-0, and all of a sudden now you're thinking, you know, hey, we're pretty good. And then that carries forward into the next game. So maybe now a little doubt, you know, the age group, you're 15 to 17, a little doubt creeps in, and you got to go play a confident Ramona team next week. And so you learn from that. 3rd and 1 from the 21. Leyva again, first down, squirts forward for more. He's to the 16-yard line. Castro brings him down. So under a minute to play in the fourth quarter. King 34, Poly 7. They reset the ball. Clock continues to move. I think if you're Poly, you're disappointed today.
Yes.
But better for this to happen in week 3 than week 8 and 9. Now you can build on this as Daniel Roach takes a knee.
And when you do have young teams like this, you're going to have some bumps in the road. You're going to have that snake bite game that gets you. And this happens to be against your rival, but got to hold your head up high and just get better from here.
Yeah, and, you know, I texted with Coach, and he knew he was missing a couple of guys, and he said, hey, we're going to have to work through it. We're going to have to work through it. And I think it's tough because if you lose this game, you know, 24-17, it's different than losing 34-7. But you know Coach Rice, Coach Powell, that whole staff is going to rally this team, and they're going to be ready for Ramona next week.
Oh, of course they will. And they're going to watch this film, and they're going to say, hey, we got to work on this, this, and this. And they will improve on those things, and they'll make adjustments.
And if you're Coach McMains and you're the Wolves, you have to be impressed. Their defense, since that second half against Ramona, has just been omnipotent, as Walt Clyde Frazier likes to say on the Knicks broadcast. They shut out Ramona in the second half. Last week against Rev, they only gave really one meaningful touchdown because it was a defensive touchdown, and the last touchdown Rev scored was the last play of the game. Like the game was already decided, and they ran out. They did what they did against Rev against Poly. They ran out to a lead and then said, "Okay, can you play from behind?" And you know, catch me if you can, and it couldn't happen. So congratulations to Jason McMains and the King Wolves, 34-7. They win. They go to 2-1, and they were so impressive tonight on both sides of the football. What do you like? What can you tell me about Noah Harris?
Very, very, very poised, very smart in the pocket, has great reads, doesn't make very many mistakes. And if you can do those things as a freshman, I tell you what, the ceiling is high for that young man.
Unofficially, I had Harris, 11 of 16, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unofficially, Noah Neal, 12 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Elijah Simley Flores, 4 catches, 62 yards. Zypher Schenkenberg, Brian Hoover, both with touchdown receptions on the King side. On the Poly side, Michael Luna, 3 completions in 8 attempts for 28 yards, threw a couple of picks, but he did run 16 times for 56 yards as well. Will Cloak had had an interception as well, and that was a great job by the King Wolves defense. They knew what was going on. They forced turnovers. They put pressure on Poly. As a result, they come away with the 34-7 win over the Poly Bears. The propeller back to Van Buren and Wood, and in the hands of the King Wolves. 34-7 our final here from Ramona High School. For Jeff Gorham and our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew, thanks to former Mayor Rusty Bailey for stopping by. My name's Ghazal Hassan. We'll talk to you next week. So long, everybody.
The Riverside County Transportation Commission has partnered with California Operation Lifesaver to educate Riverside County residents about how to be safe around trains and railroad tracks. Here are 3 safety facts you need to know. First, Trespassing on train tracks is not only dangerous and can lead to serious injury, it is also illegal. Second, you may not always be able to hear a train coming, which is why it's important to always stay off and away from tracks. And finally, it can take a train up to a mile to come to a complete stop. If an object or person is on the tracks and the train can't stop in time, unfortunately, a collision may occur. Now that you're the expert, you can help us spread the word by sharing these important safety messages with your friends and family. We thank you for practicing rail safety.